On a blood-soaked battlefield, the aftermath of a fierce war lingered. The air was thick with dust and the metallic stench of blood. From a precarious mountaintop, a sorrowful voice blended with the wind whistling through the rocks. So this is how it all ends. I'm sorry, everyone. I was too weak. The words came from within, a young man with sorrowful eyes. He covered his face, his voice cracking. Chris should have been the hero, not me. Seeing Evan tormenting himself, a purple-haired girl standing beside him turned, her eyes glittering with determination. Clenching her teeth to suppress her emotions, she encouraged him. Please don't say that, hero Evan. We did our best. Evan sighed, his voice full of regret. Of course, if the divinely talented Sir Chris had learned swordsmanship a little earlier, perhaps he would have surpassed the 9 stars to become a legendary 10-star hero. The man called Chris sat silently, his vacant eyes fixed on the 2 speakers, but they seemed completely unaware of his presence. Perhaps it was because he was already dead, a mere fading shadow in their memories. Evan continued, his voice heavy. If that had happened, couldn't the 2 of us have prevented the apocalypse? Looking back at Chris's past, he was once hailed as a great man. It all began with his insane talent, which allowed him to learn anything in the blink of an eye. With it, he left behind a brilliant legacy, and was given the title, The Journey of the Great Outsider. His story began on his 20th birthday when he fled his crude stone clan, dreaming of success amidst the dark, dangerous alleys. Then, on a day like any other, as Chris was hard at work, a world-shaking sound echoed from the sky. He looked up, his eyes wide with astonishment. A mighty legion of knights on black war horses appeared, led by a ferocious demon king, to invade the magic empire. This event would later be recorded in history as the haunting era of destruction. In a small, remote town, people gathered around a bulletin board. On the old wooden board, a piece of paper was posted with a scribbled message recruiting members to accompany the hero. Seeing the notice, a young man's eyes lit up. This is it. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I will surely rise to the top and enjoy wealth and glory after the war ends. But life was not as he dreamed, and in the end, they failed. The light domain fell into the hands of the slaughtering demon king. Blood flowed like rivers, and bodies piled up like mountains. Returning to Evan's conversation, he continued in a tormented voice, If I could, I would turn back time so that Sir Chris could have been chosen as the hero. Hearing these words, the young man now named Chris pondered. A hero. Even if time were turned back, I wouldn't want to do this again. One lifetime of suffering is more than enough. In any case, dreaming is meaningless now that this world is about to end. In the sky, a blazing red sphere of energy erupted, radiating terrifying power. Fierce lightning bolts struck the city below, tearing through space with deafening explosions. Evan, the purple-haired girl, and Chris could only stand frozen, helplessly watching the scene of destruction. Chris thought to himself, this is truly the end. He closed his eyes, whispering, in my next life, whether it exists or not, I just want to be born as the son of a rich family, and live a peaceful life. That was his final thought. The scene shifted to a peaceful room. Gentle morning sunlight streamed through the window, mingling with the soft autumn breeze. In the room, a young man sat silently, his eyes fixed on his hands. After a moment of contemplation, he whispered, I have regressed. That young man was Chris. This time, he was reborn in the body of a young master in the magic empire. He walked to the window, and threw it open. Before him lay a magnificent scene of majestic castles shimmering under the sun. Chris murmured, ecstatically, this must be the Black Magic Clan. True to its ominous name, this is one of the 12 pillar families of the Magic Empire. From what I can tell, I have returned 15 years in the past 15 years before the era of destruction began. Looking down into the courtyard, Chris was astonished to see large, furry magical beasts carefully tending to a vibrant flower garden. I thought I'd seen everything in my path lie, but I never expected to see magical beasts pruning flowers, he thought. He turned to a mirror, and his eyes widened in shock. Not to mention, I know who this bastard is. The person he had regressed into was Christian van Barent Kazov, a name steeped in infamy. In another room, a blonde young man was dining with a seductive fox-kin woman. The noble Vana in his middle name, he said curiously, is he a demon from one of the branch families? The fox-kin woman nodded, her pointed ears twitching. That's right. Chris is as sharp as ever, isn't he? She explained. The Count Keza family is a branch of the Barent County, also known as the Black Magic Clan. So, is it a more powerful family? The blonde man asked. Not exactly, she replied gently. Even as a branch, they hold a solid position within the Black Magic Clan. Not to mention, They are unbelievably wealthy. I doubt you could find a demon in the magic empire who doesn't know of them. The foxkin woman continued, her eyes twinkling. I heard they have 2 potential heirs, but the eldest son, Christian, is a true scumbag among scumbags. He's always causing trouble everywhere, to the point that the Count Kaza family eventually had to disown him. She lowered her hand, her voice softening. But that's all in the past now. Hearing this, the blonde man was startled. What do you mean? Did he turn over a new leaf? The foxkin woman answered slowly. He was murdered by a relative. The scene shifted back to Chris, his face dark, sweat pouring down his forehead. He slammed his hand against the mirror, screaming internally, damn it. I just wanted to be the son of a normal rich family. Why did I have to regress here? Why this place? Why's him? Why this damn predetermined fate? Chris laughed bitterly in his mind. What do I do now? Chris thinked. 3 days ago, he had awakened in this body with a strangely coincidental name. And in 2 years, Christian would die, eliminated from the Count Kaza family, a family that prized honor above all else. This guy must have been a completely useless, talentless hack. So, if I just live quietly, and avoid trouble, maybe I can escape death, he thought. Chris paused, pondering for a moment, then slapped his forehead. His face fell. No way that's going to happen. The main reason was Ragnarok, the end of days. The slaughtering demon king had initiated a war to sacrifice humanity, and complete Ragnarok. By the time they realized this, it was too late. Both the light domain and the magic empire were annihilated. So, if I want to survive, I have to stop the apocalypse, Chris told himself. The slaughtering demon king was one thing, but the bigger problem was the countless demons in the magic empire loyal to him. To do this, I must become the strongest, stronger than even the demon king. And there's only one way: I must become the magic emperor, sitting at the pinnacle of the magic empire. He calculated, I have 5 years before the era of destruction begins. It's worth a shot. If I succeed, not only this mansion but the entire magic empire will be mine. The scene shifted to another room, where a loud shop echoed. Christian, I'm sure I told you to stay in your room. This was Count Kaza's office. When he saw Chris enter and kneel on the floor, his face darkened. He yelled, how dare you show your face here after what you did not long ago? You no shame. His eyes narrowed, his gaze as sharp as a blade. If you misbehave one more time, I will cut off your head myself. Hearing these words, Chris' face paled, a drop of sweat rolling down his cheek. Count Kaza. His overwhelming presence is terrifying, he thought. But then he took a deep breath and spoke, startling the Count. I came here to apologize for all the mistakes I have made until now, Father. Internally, he resolved, if I want to execute my plan, I must erase the useless image Christian left behind. Hearing this, Count Kaza was stunned. What? Chris continued sincerely, I am truly sorry for everything I've done. It will not happen again. The Count replied suspiciously, you expect me to believe you? Just a few days after your latest stunt. Are you trying to mock me? What was the most recent trouble he caused before I regressed? Chris wondered. I've heard so many stories I can't pick out a specific one. He bowed his head slightly and quickly fabricated a reason. The fault for making you lose faith in me is also mine. But 3 days ago, didn't I tell you I had lost part of my memory? To regain those memories, I reflected on my past actions and realized how wrongly I have lived. My heart beats with that truth. After hearing these words, Count Kaza's expression remained unchanged. I have heard your excuses countless times, he said coldly. Seeing this, Chris immediately added, that's right. Excuses with mere words are meaningless. So from now on, I will prove it to you with my actions. He declared loudly, please send me to the Cave of Penance. I will stay there for a month and show you a different person. The scene shifted to a gloomy forest, to a place called the Cave of Penance. Amidst the thick fog and dark trees, a magnificent white building appeared like a misplaced gem in the wilderness. This was a prison exclusively for high-ranking demons, a place not only devoid of light, but also torment to all 5 senses, capable of breaking the mind of anyone weak after just a few days. But for the current cries, this place was perfect. I need a place to avoid the gazes of others, he thought, his eyes shining with determination. Back in the conversation, upon hearing Chris's words, Count Kaza spoke with a skeptical tone. You intend to lock yourself in the Cave of Penance for a month. I don't think you could last half a day in there. Chris replied decisively, without a hint of hesitation. I fully understand the hardships of that place, but I believe this is the best way for you to trust me. Hearing this, Count Kaza frowned slightly, his sharp eyes scanning his son. Do you know how many conversations like this we've had? Each time, you only disappoint me further. He took a step forward, his voice dropping. But fine. I will listen to you and give you one last chance. However, if nothing has changed after a month, I will expel you from the family. Hearing this, Chris flinched, his hands clenched so tightly his knuckles turned white. Expulsion is a death sentence, he thought. There's a long list of enemies waiting for a chance at Christian's life. Once I lose the family's protection, I could be dead at any moment. After a moment of thought, he nodded firmly. I understand. But if I can prove I've changed, please grant my request. Count Kaza frowned, a hint of surprise in his voice. You sound confident, as if you're certain you'll leave that place unharmed. He sighed. Very well. If you can prove you've changed, I will grant you any request. With that, he turned to leave, not forgetting to add one last cold remark. But don't think for a second I believe it will happen. Shortly after, Chris returned to his room, relaxing for his final moments before heading to the Cave of Penance. Suddenly, the door burst open. The butler, Fox, entered and said respectfully, Young master, the Cave of Penance is ready. Chris nodded slightly. I know. The two immediately packed and began their journey. They walked through the vast corridors of the family estate, where the light from magical lamps cast eerie shadows on the stone walls. Along the way, the servants began to whisper about Chris. Have you heard? One maid said mockingly. That useless O voluntarily went to the Cave of Penance. The other maid's eyes widened. What is he planning? Remember that recent incident where he insulted the young lady of the poison magic clan? Chris flinched upon hearing this. The first maid continued in a hushed tone. You mean the incident where the Count himself had to apologize? The other maid nodded. Exactly. It was so humiliating, having to save face in front of a rival family. Looking at Chris's retreating back, they burst out laughing. When will that good-for-nothing ever grow up? I bet never, another added. How long do you think he'll last in that cave? The other maid sneered. I give him 2 days, tops. Hearing these words, Chris said nothing, only a devilish smile forming on his lips, his eyes flashing with a cold light. They continued down the corridor, unaware of a mysterious figure who had been silently watching them since they left the room. After a while, Chris and Cox stopped before the massive door of the Cave of Penance. We've arrived, young Master Christian, Cox said. Chris looked up at the towering door, carved with ancient magical patterns. He glanced around. Using knights as guards. Classic magic empire style. Well, as long as it keeps everything away from this cave. With that thought, he rubbed the back of his neck, preparing to enter. Suddenly, a voice called out from a distance. Brother. Chris turned to see a familiar face than Van Berntkaza, Christian's younger brother, a model student of the family. Before Chris could react, then had the tip of his sword at his face. Although Chris's eyes didn't waver, he was inwardly startled. That was close. He then spoke calmly. Do you have business with me? It doesn't look like you came to say goodbye. Then reply, his voice as cold as ice. I'm sure you understand that you are a disgrace to this family. He frowned. I don't know what scheme you're plotting, but if you continue to tarnish the family's honor, I will kill you with my own hands. Do you understand? This is my final warning. Hearing this, Chris was slightly taken aback. See, he thought. It's possible this kid is the one who killed Christian. I met them during the era of destruction. He was a notorious demon with curse magic. So he was quite cute as a child. It seems he trained very hard. But then his expression hardened, and he shouted, Get out of my way. Internally, he thought, to me, he's nothing more than a brat. I've witnessed the worst moments of the era of destruction. Hearing the shout, then frowned. What did you just say? Chris replied curtly, I understand, so leave. With that, he turned and walked into the Cave of Penance. Then yelled after him, I'm serious. If you but before he could finish, the door slammed shut, causing him to punch it in anger, roaring, What's with that attitude? Inside the Cave of Penance, Chris walked, his eyes scanning his surroundings, but all was pitch black. He frowned slightly. I can't see or hear anything. Only a vague sensation remains in my fingertips. He thought, they do this on purpose so the prisoner can feel the items they brought. Otherwise, they'd starve to death. A normal person would surely suffer a mental breakdown here. But it's different for me. I've been through worse as a treasure hunter. He told himself, blocking the 5 senses is exactly what I wanted. It helps me feel deeper within myself. Even though I can't immediately reform this useless body, I still have a chance. With the medical skills from my past life as a saintly healer, the bone-setting ability from the empty palm branch, and knowledge of magic stones. I can definitely do it. He sneered. Honestly, I once thought I'd never get my hands on magic stones because they were too expensive. But this is the greatest benefit of a rich family. They can easily fulfill my every request, even if I'm a good-for-nothing. In my past life, even and I had to struggle just to get them. The first step will be the white magic stone, he calculated. It can detoxify the body. It's boring, but it's a crucial step. I need to use white mana to eliminate the accumulated toxins. Even a small mistake will cause excruciating pain throughout my body. Chris closed his eyes, feeling the white magic stone permeate his body, full energy spreading through him. After a long while, he opened his eyes and smiled. For me, this is child's play. The scene shifted to Count Kaza's office. Light from the magic lamp hanging from the ceiling illuminated his stern face. Fox, he said in a low voice, how was Christian? The butler Cox bowed his head. He obediently entered the cave of penance. But I worry that place will destroy him to the point where he can't even cry for help. Count Kaz rested his chin on his hand, lost in thought. Was sending him there a mistake? Why did that child with such a promising future suddenly collapse like that? Did his talent make him too arrogant? He shook his head. Whatever the reason, it's better for him to fail completely or die than to live such a miserable life. Suddenly, an image of Christian appeared in his mind, his determined voice echoing, I will show you with my actions. The Count shook his head, returning to reality, admonishing himself. Oh, I shouldn't place my hopes in him anymore. He's deceived us too many times. He turned to Cox. Did you notice anything strange when he went in? At the question, Fox flinched, stammering, strange, sir. The Count's voice turned cold. Stop hiding things. Report every detail. Fox took a deep breath and began his report. Actually, the young master brought magic stones into the cave. Among them was a dream stone, a type of stone that causes hallucination. Because its side effects are unknown, they reported it immediately. Count Kaza's face darkened, his voice as cold as ice. If that's the case, then just let him die. Time flew by. A month had passed. Count Kaza stood before the massive door of the Cave of Penance, his eyes filled with sorrow. In his mind, he pictured Christian emerging with a haggard face and a broken body. He must be exhausted by now, he thought. But suddenly, the door swung open, and a youthful figure appeared, startling the Count. Contrary to his thoughts, Christian walked out looking refreshed, his eyes shining brightly. He smiled. You're here, father. I've been waiting for you. Seeing the Count's astonished face, Christian continued, Are you surprised? I promised I'd return as a different person. The Count frowned slightly, observing Christian's determined gaze. Those eyes hadn't looked at him like that since he was a child. So, you endured it, he said. Christian laughed loudly. Haha, is that a compliment? The Count immediately cut his joy short, his voice stern. Don't get ahead of yourself. This is just a trivial matter. I still don't trust you. Hearing this, Christian sighed. What a difficult old man. He then said, Well then, I'll just have to try harder. Internally, he thought, he probably thinks I just barely managed to endure it in there. But that's not the case. I was so busy training I didn't have time to get bored. First, I created an optimal body for mastering swordsmanship, Christian told himself. Thanks to the white magic stone, every cell in my body feels revitalized after each training session. Furthermore, the dream stone was the game changer. The butler tried to stop me from bringing that addictive magic stone, but luckily I was stubborn. Thanks to the hallucinations from it, I surpassed my limits. Moreover, I'd even created 2 magic cores. He chuckled to himself. They say not to boast too soon, because I'm only the strongest in theory for now, right? Christian looked at the shimmering aura on his hand. 1-star aura. Even so, I'm a true genius. Of course, I used the dark core to hide this light. If those demons found out, they'd cause a huge fuss. Just when it seemed to be over, a dark stone suddenly floated in front of him. Christian smiled devilishly. The one who gave me the dream stone. What a mess. He wanted to use it to make me lose control and break down. Fine, I'll play along. I'll use you as a sacrifice for my leap forward. With this thought, Christian spoke up. Since I have kept my promise, please allow me to make a request. Count Kaza nodded. Speak. Christian continued. Please allow me to use the Black Knight's training ground. Hearing this suggestion, Count Kaza's face darkened. He shouted coldly, A good-for-nothing like you has no place there. They are one of the 3 knight orders supporting the Black Magic clan. You must know that only the most elite swordsmen are allowed to display their skills there. Christian nodded slightly. I'm only asking to borrow the training ground. The guidance of the Black Knights will help me improve. I don't want to join their order. Hearing the answer, Count Kaza pondered for a moment then said, very well. But remember my warning. Don't become a disgrace in front of the knights. Otherwise Christian nodded. I understand. He then added, there is one more thing I'd like to request. Count Kaza flinched slightly, his eyes showing a hint of surprise. The scene shifted to the Black Knights training ground. Warriors in black armor stood in line, bewildered by Christian's appearance. One of them spoke up mockingly, isn't that the foolish young master? Why is he here? Seeing everyone whispering, Christian stepped forward, and surprisingly, they suddenly showed respect. It must be because we're in the Magic Empire, where strength matters more than status, he thought. Actually, there's another reason I wanted to come here. Christian's second request had been access to the library. This had made Count Kaza curious. The library? He had asked. If you have Deputy Commander Merlin's letter of recommendation, I will give you the key. It's where all the dark magic books of the Count Kaza family are stored. To learn dark magic, Christian needed access to it. After receiving approval, he had nodded. I understand. Then his father had said coldly, you must have forgotten that you once sold high-level magic books on the black market for a pittance. Hearing this, a few drops of sweat rolled down Christian's forehead. He thought, what kind of life did this body live? He was a perfectly useless individual, with not a single redeeming quality. Returning to the present, Christian casually walked with his sword, thinking, anyway, my top priority is to gain the recognition of the deputy commander. Suddenly, a group of people appeared ahead, causing Christian to frown slightly. It was then, his younger brother. Then spoke, his voice cold. This is not a place someone like you can just walk into. Christian sighed, slinging his sword over his shoulder. It's him again. How annoying. Then he smiled. Actually, this could be a good opportunity. Then approached Christian, his voice echoing coldly. This is my final warning. Turn back. I assume you don't want to throw away the life you just reclaimed from the Cave of Penance, do you? Hearing this, Christian sighed, a look of boredom on his face. Can you take responsibility for those words? Father was the one who allowed me into the training ground. Then frowned in surprise. What? Father? Suddenly, the sound of firm footsteps echoed from a distance, and a deep, steady voice spoke. I highly respect the Count's decision, but you are not very trustworthy, young Master Christian. The person who had just appeared was Deputy Commander Merlin, a woman with long black hair and an overwhelming presence. Her appearance made Christian frown slightly and turn his head. The pressure from the dark energy radiating from Merlin is clearly at the 4-star level. It seems they want to intimidate me from the start, Christian thought. But I've been used to this for a long time. He bowed his head slightly, his voice calm. Hello, Deputy Commander. Seeing that Christian was unfazed by her dark energy, Merlin frowned slightly, inwardly surprised. He can withstand my energy. While she was still dazed, Christian spoke. If even the Deputy Commander has to intervene, I guess there's no other way. I will prove I am worthy of being in this training ground. Merlin replied, a hint of doubt in her voice. You say prove? Christian gestured towards them. What if I fight one of the demons here, and win? Hearing this, Merlin sneered. You're joking, young Master Christian. Christian turned his head, his voice serious. I'm not joking. Instead, I want you to restrain your dark energy. As you know, due to my past lifestyle, my ability to use dark energy is far from my true potential. If possible, I'd like a hand-to-hand fight. Hearing this, Merlin frowned, thinking, even if this is a fair fight, we can't let the hare get injured. This is a bit troublesome. She then said, you think you can win in a hand-to-hand fight, young master? Christian calmly replied, we'll have to see about that. Now, who should I choose as my opponent? He gestured towards Then. Then would be good. Seeing Christian's hand pointing at him, Then's face darkened, and he growled, how dare you? A voice from behind spoke up, trying to dissuade him. I think you should choose a more suitable opponent, sir. You know that young Master Then's level is 2-star, don't you? Christian thought, 2-star. A level no ordinary 13-year-old could reach, unless they have innate talent. Otherwise, whether they're 13 or 23, they wouldn't even be able to touch that level of power. But I'm not ordinary scum either. He shook his head. Well, if I'm going to prove myself, I have to choose someone stronger than me. I think fighting Then is the best option. With that, he looked at Then. Now what? Then, what do you think? You're not afraid of your own brother, are you? Hearing this, Then's expression grew even darker. He growled, I accept your challenge. Immediately, they stood facing each other, surrounded by the knights present at the training ground. Cheers erupted from the crowd. Young master Then, take this opportunity to crush that bastard. One shouted. If you let him off easy, we'll have special training today. Another added. Christian cracked his knuckles, warming up, then turned to Merlin. How do we decide the winner? Do we fight until the opponent surrenders? Hearing this, Merlin's face darkened. What an arrogant fool. She replied, that would be too boring. Let's fight until one person is unable to continue. She thought to herself, it would be great if young master Then disabled him, breaking a leg or two. Christian pointed at Then. Hey, you heard the rules. They told you to fight seriously. Then roared, you insolent fool. I'll make sure you can't open that mouth of yours again. As soon as he finished speaking, Christian lunged forward, landing a powerful punch on Then's jaw. The unexpected blow made Then stagger, his face contorting in pain. Christian smiled. What's wrong? The match has already started. Then stepped back, wiping a trickle of blood from the corner of his mouth, his eyes blazing. He growled, shut up. Then charged, throwing a punch at Christian, but he easily dodged it. Honestly, if we were using dark energy, a one-star demon like me couldn't win, Christian thought. But in a hand-to-hand fight, after dodging the punch, he used his right leg to kick Then hard in the chest, sending him stumbling back, clutching his chest in surprise. In my past life, I fought on countless battlefields, Christian told himself. Furthermore, considering the light domain power I gained in the Cave of Penance, I'm already at a 3-star level. The surrounding crowd murmured. What did I just witness? One of them uttered. Then stood unsteadily, holding his stomach, blood dripping from his mouth. Christian taunted, don't tell me you're crying. Want me to kiss it better? Then supported himself on his thighs, panting heavily. What trick did you use? Christian shrugged. Seeing him in this state is truly satisfying, he thought. He then said aloud, a trick. There's no such thing. You're just a bit weak. Hearing this, Then's face contorted with rage. All right, he shouted. A thick dark aura emanated from his hands. He roared, I'll kill you right now. A punch filled with dark energy shot towards Christian, but he easily dodged it. He laughed. You're fast. Internally, he thought, yes, this is the fighting spirit I wanted to see. Then continuously threw punches, but Christian weaved left and right, dodging with a calm expression. Then, he blocked one of Then's punches, causing Then to unexpectedly lower his dark energy. Before Then could think, he was met with an uppercut from Christian, sending him flying back, spitting blood and collapsing to the ground. The punch left the surrounding knights speechless, their eyes wide. They whispered among themselves. Did young master then let his guard down? Maybe he restrained his dark energy to avoid injuring his opponent. Another suggested. Ignoring their words, Christian approached Then. Even Merlin was surprised by his performance. Is it possible? She thought. Otherwise, how could he have lost that day? Seeing everyone's done, Christian turned to Merlin. What do you think? Is this enough proof? Merlin nodded slightly. Very well. Christian smiled. Thank you. Internally, he thought, good, it was a success. Now I will devour all swordsmanship and magic. The scene shifted to Christian's room. He sat in a leather chair, summoning a dark sphere that hovered in the air. Looking at it, he thought, I've reached 1-star dark magic. But because I haven't fully mastered dark energy, plus the massive residual baggage Christian left behind, everything is taking longer than I expected. Christian picked up a small bell and shook it gently. The tinkling sound echoed in the quiet space. He told himself, to use the light domain simultaneously, I need to raise my level even higher for it to be feasible. Immediately after the bell rang, a surge of energy appeared. From it, a maid materialized, her voice soft. You called for me, master. It was Mary, Christian's maid. Seeing her appear, Christian frowned slightly. I can't believe they're using a high-level banshee as a maid. I have to admit, it's because Christian was always causing trouble that they couldn't use a normal person. I'll definitely replace her later. He then said, get me a glass of juice. After I drink it, I'm going to train. Mary leaned in close, whispering in his ear, should I prepare juice with human blood? Christian waved his hand dismissively. No need. Strawberry is fine. But Mary leaned in closer, her eyes twinkling. Human blood is delicious. Christian frowned, his voice firm. I said use strawberries. She remained persistent. But human blood. Christian angrily shouted, "Strawberry." The scene shifted to a corridor. Christian slung a backpack over his shoulder, ready to go train. Cox's voice came from behind. "Young master, it's still early. You're already going to train. I worry you'll push yourself too hard." Christian turned to look at Cox, who continued in a warm voice, "Of course, I am very happy and proud to see you working so hard. I will always believe in you, even when everyone else criticizes you." Hearing this, Christian suddenly became angry, clenching his fists. "I never asked you to believe in me. Who are you to have the right to believe or not believe in me?" Cox's face darkened. He bowed his head. "Forgive me, I apologize. You overstepped my bounds. Have an effective training session, young master." With that, Cox turned and left. Watching his retreating back, Christian thought, there's something suspicious behind that devotion. Then he turned and walked away. A short while later, Christian arrived at the training ground. The people here no longer looked at him with the same scrutinizing eyes as the first time. He thought, their gazes are more settled now. They've let their guard down. Can I win them over step by step? With that thought, he threw his backpack on the ground, picked up his sword, and swung it a few times in the air to warm up, his movements as decisive as a true warrior. His actions were noticed by a soldier, who quickly ran into Merlin's tent. Reporting, "Deputy Commander, young Master Christian has come to the training ground again today." Hearing this, Merlin pondered, her expression thoughtful. What is he planning? What was that duel about? Young Master Then's movements were indeed impressive, but I didn't expect Christian to dispel his dark energy at the exact right moment. She wondered, did Christian see through the entire battle? If so, his talent might surpass even young Master Kid Baron, the direct descendant of the main family. Nah, he's just a scumbag. He lost all his dark energy due to his debauched lifestyle. He can't possibly close that gap now. Suddenly, noise from outside pulled Merlin from her thoughts. She stood up, walked out, and shouted, "What's all the noise? What's going on?" A soldier replied, "Deputy Commander, it seems the young master has had a small altercation with a servant." Seeing someone lying flat on the ground, another soldier asked, "What happened?" The one next to him replied, "Hanan is a 1-star demon. Don't tell me that scumbag has also reached 1 star." Hearing this, Merlin's expression showed a flicker of surprise. Christian ignored the surrounding gossip. He turned and challenged, "I wanted to witness the renowned strength of the Black Knights, but it seems they don't live up to their reputation. Is there anyone here who wants to step up? Surely you're not a knightly order of cowards, are you?" Hearing this, the surrounding soldiers gritted their teeth in anger, but dared not do anything. Suddenly, a foot stepped out from the crowd. It was a muscular magical beast with dark purple skin. "Niam Torin," he introduced himself in a deep voice. Seeing someone step forward, Christian smiled. They took the bait. He swung his arm. "Let's go." As soon as he finished, Torin charged with his sword. Christian thought, I didn't expect them to obediently teach their knightly skills to a good-for-nothing like me. If that's the case, I'll have to take it by force. All of Torin's attacks were easily blocked by Christian. During the fight, he observed and learned their sword stance and footwork. So this is the legendary swordsmanship. If I do something like this, it should be effective, right? With that thought, Christian mimicked Torin's move, delivering a powerful blow to his opponent's face. Torin spat blood and collapsed to the ground. Merlin could only stare in disbelief, as Christian smiled in satisfaction. With just one blow, he had defeated Torin. He walked over, sat on the back of his defeated opponent, and turned to the crowd. Well, the surrounding people buzzed. Impossible. Is that scumbag that strong? Wasn't his dark energy destroyed? How did he reach 1 star? The most surprised person was Merlin. Her eyes became dazed. So I was wrong back then. While they were talking, Christian turned, his voice full of disappointment. How disappointing. It seems I'd placed too much faith in the knights. If your skills are this pathetic, the deputy commander must be responsible, right? Hearing this, the knights behind him broke into a cold sweat. That lunatic, one whispered. Should we jump in? Merlin spoke up. Young master, I understand you're happy about this unexpected victory, but haven't you gone too far? Christian took a stance. Then can the deputy commander show me the true skills of these black knights? Hearing this, Merlin's face darkened. She snatched a sword from a nearby soldier and charged at Christian. A world-shaking slash cut through the wind, but Christian skillfully dodged it. The attack left a deep gash in the ground. Merlin gritted her teeth, threw the sword forward, and shouted, I can handle someone like you in an instant. Seeing Merlin was angry and wanted to fight for real, Christian spoke calmly. Are you going to use your full power against someone like me? Let's limit our dark energy to the 1-star level and forbid dark magic, shall we? And of course, we'll only use wooden swords. Merlin frowned, questioning. 1 star. Immediately, a nearby soldier rushed to get a wooden sword, swapping it for the real one in her hand. Merlin pointed the wooden sword forward, her voice cold. I'll break both your legs with just half of that power. Hearing this, Christian glanced down at his legs and smirked. I'll bet these legs. What about you, Deputy Commander? Merlin replied immediately, anything. With that, she dashed towards Christian, shouting, you won't be walking out of here today. A powerful slash cut through the air. Christian quickly raised his wooden sword to block, then immediately countered. They exchanged blows repeatedly, the clashing sounds echoing, astonishing the crowd. After observing for a while, they began to whisper. How was he holding his own against the deputy commander for so long? One soldier exclaimed. Isn't the deputy commander's main weapon a great sword? Another chimed in. But only those involved understood the true situation. Merlin thought, it's not that my attacks aren't hitting him for some reason. He's weak from the inside out, he can't be my opponent. Didn't this happen in the fight with them, and the one before that, too? Seeing her dazed, Christian smiled. It seems things are going your way, are they? Merlin's face darkened. She shouted, shut up. Immediately, a dark aura enveloped the wooden sword, creating a fearsome magical force behind her. A heaven-sent slash was unleashed, but Christian remained calm, focusing on dodging to the side. Now's the time, he thought. He immediately pushed off the ground, launching himself at Merlin, and head-butted her straight in her beautiful face. Merlin clutched her face in pain, blood dripping from her nose. Christian frowned slightly, thinking with satisfaction, they were. Merlin is a magic swordsman. As long as her dark magic is bound, and her defense is open, she can't use physical strength to fight me. My judgment was correct. If she were a demon specializing in swordsmanship, this might not have worked. Merlin looked at her blood-stained hand, dazed for a moment, then suddenly burst out laughing. Ha, a headbutt. I didn't expect that. It seems I underestimated you, young master. I'll be more focused now. Christian just scratched his face without replying. Internally, he thought, but isn't the match already over? When I headbutted her, I scratched her with my fingernails. If I had focused poison into my nails, you know what would have happened, right? Merlin smiled, resting her sword on her shoulder. I admit defeat. Tell me, what do you want? But in return, can I fight you again? Christian smiled. A rematch? Then you'll have to listen to my second request. Merlin replied, anything. Christian leaned in close, whispering in her ear. Then will you kneel before me? Hearing this, Merlin's expression darkened. She said, do you know that's an impossible condition? My loyalty is already pledged to the main family of the Black Magic clan, the Barrett clan. Christian replied, of course I know you're here on a visit from the main family. But if I become the young lord of the clan, wouldn't everything resolve itself? Merlin's voice stammered, a young lord. That's absurd. The 5 young lords with succession rights are all direct descendants of the main family. Christian smirked. There's no rule saying someone from a branch family can't become the young lord, right? Whatever the conditions, I accept your request. He slung his sword over his shoulder. How about 1 month from now? I need to train more too, but next time let's limit ourselves. Merlin replied, if so, you won't be able to beat me then, young master. Christian shrugged. Who knows? In this world, very few things are truly impossible. With that, he bowed and turned to leave. See you next month. On that day, I'll show you where to place your loyalty. The next day, Christian presented Merlin's letter of recommendation to his father. The demon's strength is lacking, he said. They need to focus more on training. Count Kaza looked at the letter, recalling Merlin's visit a few days prior. The young master is a genius, she had said. Even with a low star level, he was able to defeat someone with a solid foundation like me. Even you? He had asked. Merlin had replied, yes. It was a rare match that I thoroughly enjoyed. Returning to the present, the Count looked at Christian, thinking, this kid. This time, he's for real. Seeing his father staring at him, Christian asked, is there something on my face? Nothing, he replied. He then held out the key as promised. I'm giving you the key to the library. Christian took the key, and quickly left. Outside, he rejoiced. Excellent. I got the library key, and changed Merlin's mind. She's a demon from the main family of the Black Magic clan. During the era of destruction, she was a 6-star demon. If I want to control the entire demon clan, I need to win her over with my own strength. I haven't completely conquered her yet, but 1 month should be enough. Because I'm a genius. He continued to think, smiling, and Count Kaz's expression just now wasn't that the proud look of a father. I guess demons have family affection too. Maybe he's a better father than my previous life's father. I won't disappoint you, Count Kaza. With that, he opened the library door, and the scene before him made him gasp in awe. Walking around, he thought, blood magic, summoning research, process. All things forbidden in the light domain. He casually pulled a book from a shelf. As he did, a pair of eyes appeared from behind the shell, startling him into shouting, "Who's there?" It turned out to be the banshee, Mary. She laughed. Ha ha, what other reason could there be? I'm the librarian here. She struck a cute pose and winked. Did you want to have me all to yourself as a personal mate? Christian's face darkened. Shut up. Mary looked sad. Oh my, such straightforward words. My heart is pounding. Christian, on the verge of losing his temper, shouted, shut your mouth. But the banshee only laughed louder. Looking at the book Christian had chosen, Mary said with interest, young master, the book you've chosen contains a 4-star dark magic called the Binding Seal. At your current level, I'm afraid you won't be able to comprehend it. Hearing this, Christian closed the book, crossed his arms, and puffed out his chest confidently. It's fine. I'm a genius. The banshee pondered for a moment, then made an exaggerated face. Oh my goodness. Oh, our young master is not only handsome but also super genius. Seeing her forced expression, Christian got angry. Don't force yourself like that. Mary giggled. Is there a particular reason you chose that book? He nodded slightly. Yes. I need to catch a rat. The scene shifted to the next day. Christian was running laps with everyone at the training ground. As he ran, he thought, the suspects in my murder. First, there's Then. No one in the house despises me more for being useless. Next is Cox. Although he's not a descendant of the clan, he can freely enter and exit the Cave of Penance. Demons value strength over status, yet he constantly hovers around me with endless flattery. It could also be a third party I haven't identified yet. Either way, they want to see me fall. The proof is the dream stone in the Cave of Penance. Maybe I should play the role of the scumbag they expect. Whoever seems pleased when I cause trouble must be the culprit. With this thought, Christian suddenly stopped, shouting, damn it, this is too hard. Then he turned and walked away. You guys have fun. I'm getting a cramp. The others watched him go, wondering what was wrong with him. That night, the family was having dinner when the sound of shattering plates echoed. Count Kaza yelled, Christian. But he didn't care, turning to a maid and shouting, you should have chosen a decent dish for me from the start. Then he waved his hand. Hey, are you going to stand there all day? Or make my food? Count Kaza's face darkened with anger. I was a fool to think he had finally grown up. With that, he turned and left the dining room. Watching his father's back, Christian thought with remorse, I'm sorry, but this is all for the good of the family. I hope you understand, father. You can call me a devil. He had been working hard to spread rumors that he had reverted to being a scumbag, bullying mates, throwing tantrums, spending money like water, and indulging in debauchery. Looking at the glass of wine in front of him, Christian yelled, why can't I have wine? Mary laughed. But you are drinking wine right now. He got angry. Wine my ass. You made it non-alcoholic. She smiled sheepishly. You're still too young master. You shouldn't be drinking alcohol. Christian frowned. What does that matter? I'm a good for nothing, remember? Mary continued, so you've decided to go back to being a scumbag. It's okay. No matter what, this lady will always be by your side. Hearing this, Christian frowned, turned his face away, and drew a magic circle in the air with his hand. But as he said, I'm catching a rat. Looking at the magic circle, Mary was amazed. Impossible. You've already mastered the binding seal technique. Christian smiled. I told you, I'm a genius. I modified it so I can use it even at a lower level. It's not just because of the time I've also been diligently practicing countless spells. Mary bit her lip. Are you really a genius? Just then pushed the door open and approached Christian. Seeing the situation, Chris thought, I have to pretend to be drawn. He put on a drunken expression. What is it, Ed? What are you doing here? Then shouted, is this all you can do? I thought you had changed for the better. Seeing Then's anger, Christian smiled inwardly. He's genuinely angry. So I can remove him from the suspect list. He said aloud, I think there's a rat in the house. then was confused. What are you talking about? Christian stood up and approached him. Someone wants to see me fall. I'm going to play along with them for a while. Then was surprised. You're saying this is all an act? Christian poured a glass of wine and handed it to Then. That's right. Even this wine is fake. Who is the rat? Then asked. Christian swirled the wine in his glass. It's hard to say right now, but they will take the bait. With that, he threw the glass to the floor, shattering it. Suddenly, a butler ran in from outside. What's going on, young master? Christian continued his act. This isn't the wine I ordered. Have someone bring another bottle. Yow. The butler stammered. Fox is currently busy. He's busy. Christian asked. I'll pay him a visit. Then was stunned. He's acting so convincingly. He truly is a born actor. A few minutes later, Christian found Cox. He slammed a bottle of wine down in front of him, startling him. Why are you here, young master? Christian poured the entire bottle over Cox's head. This isn't the wine I ordered. Are you looking down on me? Fox stood up calmly. Of course not. I will order the correct type of wine for you. I don't need it, Christian replied. He pointed directly at Cox. You go get it yourself. Cox's hands clenched slightly. But I'm busy. Christian slapped Cox hard across the face. Are you going to work in this state? Go change, and then go. Cox gritted his teeth, trembling. I will be back shortly, young master. With that, he left. Watching him go, Christian thought, I have to commend his patience for enduring this humiliation. But that hostility. He glanced at the pile of wine-stained documents nearby and casually picked up a stack. A smile spread across his face. Here it is. If the butler is the rat, he's definitely involved in the finances. But this isn't enough. I need clear evidence. Just as he put the papers down, Fox entered. Here is the wine you requested. Christian was calm. Thanks. You're not mad at me, are you? Fox replied. Of course not. How could I dare be angry with you? Christian laughed. Good. I don't know if you've noticed, but you're my favorite. Fox bowed. I am very grateful. He then added, by the way, young master, I have a message for you. Christian was startled. What is it? Your friends want to meet you secretly at the old spot, Fox continued. Although I don't want you associating with them, I have no right to judge your friends. Christian sneered. Maybe I'll go see them. Yes, as you wish, Fox replied. Seeing this, Christian smiled to himself. Everything is progressing better than I expected. The next day, at a tavern, Chris met his old, wicked friends. They drank and laughed. Chris, I heard a rumor you changed your ways recently, but I didn't believe it. We know you too well. He suddenly noticed the small waitress in the tavern and felt a wave of disgust. Making a girl this young serve drinks. What a bunch of scum. The other two raised their glasses, urging, come on, drink up, Chris. But he didn't clink glasses, only brought the drink to his lips, which annoyed them. What are you waiting for? Bottoms up. Unable to stand their violence any longer, Chris threw the drink in the fat one's face. He coughed and sputtered. What do you think you're doing? Chris acted nonchalant. Just testing the wine. From your reaction, I can tell this wine is undrinkable. The fat man, blustered that his plot was discovered, quickly raised his hand to use magic, pressing it against the waitress's forehead. In an instant, she fainted. You know dark magic too? The fat man asked, amazed. Seeing no one could stop him, Chris slammed his foot on the table. I don't think you should be surprised by this. The two were terrified by his outburst. Chris grabbed the fat man's head and slammed both their heads on the table. Blood gushed out as they begged for him to stop. Stop it. The fat man trembled. Why are you hitting me? Calm down. Chris pulled back. It seems you still haven't realized your mistake. In that case, just die. He drew a dagger, his eyes filled with killing intent. After being tortured for a while, they both begged for their lives. Spare me, young lord. We were forced to drug you and fabricate evidence. He threatened to expose our drug trade, so I had no choice. Chris approached them. Who ordered you to do this? The skinny one hesitated, afraid to speak. Chris slammed the dagger down in front of him. If you don't speak up, I'll chop it off. The skinny man, terrified, confessed everything. It was Cox. Please spare my life. I'll do anything you say. Chris was skeptical. Really? You'll do anything? They both chorused. Yes, we swear. He shouted. I can't hear you. The two cried and screamed. We swear. Satisfied, Chris said, all right, I'll remember this. You must be loyal to me until death. With that, his magic surged forward, forging a slave contract with both of them. They then foamed at the mouth and passed out. Meanwhile, Fox ran to report to the Count. "It's her. There's a problem." "What is it?" the Count asked. Fox hastily said, "The young master has killed someone." The Count struggled to remain calm, jumping to his feet. Fox continued, "According to my information, the young master got drunk last night, killed his drinking buddies, and threw their bodies in the river. This won't be easy to handle. What should we do, sir?" Hearing that his son had murdered and hidden the body, the Count was horrified and rushed off, ordering, "Bring Christian to the demon court. I will request a direct trial." His eyes were dark and terrifying. Seeing his plan about to succeed, Fox couldn't suppress a satisfied smile. At the demon court, Price was brought in as the culprit, but he insisted he was innocent. The judge didn't believe him. "Are you trying to fool a child? The witness is standing right there." Price denied it. "This is fundamentally impossible." He looked up at the two men, affirming, "I think there's been a misunderstanding." At that moment, the waitress from the tavern walked in. Price smiled, turning the tables. "The maid is alive and well right here." The two men were shocked to see her alive. The young girl removed her cloak to testify. "The young master took me home after I fainted, and even gave me money for rent. But those two are the bad ones. They put something in the young master's drink." Everyone in the court was confused. "What is happening?" Price didn't waste words. The two men suddenly seemed possessed and confessed, "That's right, we filed a false report. We were ordered by Cox to frame the young master." Cox denied it. "What the hell are you talking about?" He turned to the judge. They are slandering me. The young master and his friends are trying to blame me. This isn't funny." Seeing Cox react exactly as he predicted, Price sighed. "I knew you would react this way." He requested of the judge, his father, "Since I am also a victim, may I make a request?" "What request?" his father asked. Price smiled. "Allow me to use your authority as your representative to question Butler Cox." The judge was taken aback but agreed. "Very well. Fox, step up to the defendant's stand." Fox was about to speak but was stopped. "However, if you act inappropriately, I will revoke your authority immediately." Price stepped down from the stand. "I'll make it quick." He stepped up and declared, "As the representative of the Great Magic Emperor, leader of the Magic Empire, member of the Black Magic clan that rules the Southern Magic Kingdom, and representative of Count Kazaa, I will now question the defendant. Fox, are you sure you will answer me with the truth?" Fox raised his hand. "I swear." Price asked again, "As the representative of the Magic Emperor, I ask again, are you sure you will only answer with the truth?" "I swear," Fox affirmed. Instantly, a slave contract was forged. Fox clutched his head, screaming in confusion. Everyone in the court was astonished. "Is that the binding seal? How can a guy like him use 4-star dark magic?" Price was smug. "This magic has been modified so even low-level users can cast it, but it has a side effect: the target must swear twice." "You fell right into my trap." Fox was furious but couldn't speak. Price asked, "Didn't you just swear to only speak the truth? Now, why did you order those two to harm me?" "The seal caused Cox excruciating pain." He confessed. "I received orders from someone else. He knew about my corruption and threatened me. He forced me to harm the young master. That's been the reason since you were a child." Price's father couldn't believe it. "What did you say?" Price smiled. "So you confess. It seems you've embezzled quite a bit. But I've known that for a long time." He stepped down. "Tell me. Who gave you the order?" Fox stammered. "Please, sir." "If you say." Price intensified the magic. Fox writhed in pain. "It was the second young lord who told me to." Price's father was shocked. "What?" Everyone murmured. "The second young lord of the Black Magic clan, Baron." Fox panicked. "He'll kill me. I have to run." But before he could do anything, Price drew a sword from a guard and swiftly beheaded Cox. His head rolled to the floor in front of everyone. Price coldly announced, receiving authority from the Count, "I have executed the punishment for the sinner." Price's father was stunned by the scene. Price approached him. "Father, I've heard." "Why this decision?" Price immediately replied, "If we let Cox live, the entire main family faction would scheme, creating false evidence to cover things up. We can't be too lenient with them. Moreover, I intend to make everyone here clearly remember the truth of this matter." Hearing this, everyone was surprised. Price's eyes showed dead seriousness. "He tried to destroy me," he continued. His father just frowned, sweat beading on his forehead. He then opened a magical space and ordered, "Follow me." They stepped through the portal into a training ground. Where are we? Chris asked. This is a secret training area. There were too many eyes in the courtroom, his father replied. He then asked seriously, what you just said? You mean C will cause more trouble due to the succession conflict. The power and prestige of a family were tied to the successor they supported. Your decision was correct, but I feel you acted too hastily. In the current situation, we must support the first princess. The first prince is not an option, he is a bloodthirsty madman. Chris looked away and smiled. There is another option. I will become the successor. His father immediately objected. That's absurd. Chris pressed on. A person from a branch family can be recognized as a successor if they are capable enough. It's just a formal regulation that hasn't been enforced. Don't you know? Then why do you think he tried to destroy you? His father asked. When you were young, you might have been more talented than C, but now you've fallen far behind him. Chris didn't yield. I will catch up quickly. But to do that, I need your help. Please use your authority to recommend me for the dark sacred ritual in 2 months. His father was taken aback. You must reach the 2-star level to participate in the ritual. You've only just reached 1 star, haven't you? Chris didn't give up. I will reach 2 stars in the next 2 months. Hearing his son's words, his father was astonished. What? Chris smiled brightly, fleeting. So please, help me, father. After resolving everything and returning to the mansion, the servants whispered, the young master has completely changed. I heard the count is personally training him these days, a female servant said. A male servant added, you mean the training that even veteran knights struggle with? I wonder how long he'll last. In the training yard, Chris sliced a monster in half. His eyes were sharp, binding with mud swordsmanship, finishing with dark scythe swordsmanship. After the cut, he turned to his father. Right, father. His father was surprised. I only started teaching him dark scythe swordsmanship today, yet he understood it immediately. Chris grew impatient. But do I really have to do it this way? Keeping them separate like this? What do you mean? His father asked, confused. Chris charged forward. I feel there's a more effective way. He appeared at the monster's feet and delivered a powerful slash, destroying it. His father was astonished. That was mud swordsmanship. How did you do that? Chris sighed. The limbs of the mushroom man are hard enough to block mud swordsmanship, but he used extreme sword technique wrapped in dark scythe sword kayak. The sword flashed with magic, stunning his father. A 1-star shouldn't be able to do that. Outwardly, he maintained a composed demeanor. That's formidable power, but using 2 techniques at once will make casting curses harder. Chris denied it. Not at all. It's easy. No inconvenience whatsoever. His father was secretly terrified. 15 days later, Chris lay exhausted on the training ground, drenched in sweat. Damn it, running is so tiring. But I can't be careless. Stamina is the key to increasing my realm. While he was resting, a voice rang out. Are you exhausted already? The match isn't far off, you know. I'm eagerly awaiting the appointed day. It was Merlin. Chris lamented internally. She always has such a powerful presence. He got up and continued training. All right, I'm trying my best not to disappoint you. Merlin expressed her disdain. I know of your incredible progress, but you're still only 1 star. If you don't meet my expectations, don't expect to make me kneel. Chris was confident. Well, I believe it's possible. Either way, I'll learn something from the match, so it won't be a waste. Seeing his confidence, Merlin left, satisfied, still full of vitality. See, I expect you to surpass your limits and please me. He watched her go, assessing. Merlin is currently a high-level 4-star. Within one realm, there are 3 levels low, mid, and high. As a high-level 1-star, I'm still far from her. But I come from a rich family. A wallet warrior. He tightened his belt and smiled cruelly. Finally, the day of the match arrived. Chris asked Mary, Mary, have you finished packing? Of course. Mary replied. Our first trip together. I've dressed to impress. Seeing her, he was taken aback. I never said you were coming with me. Mary pouted. I understand. You must be worried I'll get a crush on you. Don't worry, serving the young master is my honor. Chris was exasperated. How can a banshee get a crush? Previously, he had asked his father, can I change my servant to a human? His father had refused. Impossible. You signed a master-servant contract with Mary. A high-level banshee cannot be managed without a contract. Chris had gotten angry. So you can't just tell me how to break the contract. His father had pointed out, I believe it requires a deep kiss with Mary. To be fair, you were dead drunk when you signed the contract. Chris had torn his hair out. You're useless, old man. Returning to the present, he refused Mary. Anyway, you can't come with me. I'm going to a crowded place. Mary was disappointed. But I was so looking forward to this trip. He broke into a sweat. It's just that your spiritual energy could harm others. Mary was angry. I've been locked in this mansion for decades. Seeing how pitiful she looked, Chris gave in. Alright, you can come. But don't appear in front of other people. Mary was overjoyed. Thank you. You're the best, young master. He waved his hand. Just follow me. Chris and Mary set off. Mary was curious. But young master, where are we going? To a place where I can make a profit, he replied. Mary opened her purse, and money fell out everywhere. You already have so much money. Seeing the cascade of coins, he panicked. That's not a lot. Put it back. Mary was confused. If not money, then gold. Land ownership. He smiled and denied it. Wrong. Mary was stumped. Then what? Chris replied. It's something I used to use before. Then suddenly appeared on the carriage, scolding. You're late. Seeing Fan, Chris froze, confused. Ben, what are you doing here? Then stated his purpose. I came to keep an eye on you, just in case you start acting like a scumbag again. That won't happen. Don't worry, Chris assured him. He then acted arrogant, like a king. Anyway, I'm just on my way to the casino. Then exclaimed in surprise. What? Chris boarded the carriage, not forgetting to educate him. We are demons. Indulging in wine, women, and gambling is natural. Gambling is even encouraged by the Magic Emperor, and there's a reason it's legal. Done. Undeterred, decided, then I'll go with you. Chris was surprised, then brazenly climbed onto the carriage. Proudly, then, could it be you're worried about your dear brother? Bed, hidden her, flinched and denied it. Why would I worry about you? I'm just worried you'll tarnish the family's dignity. The carriage set off, but the two brothers continued to bicker. You know, Chris said, I think for a bookworm like you, this is a bit too exciting. Do you even know the rules? Then was Naya. Isn't gambling just playing cards? He then declared firmly, I'm going to knock that arrogance out of you. Chris teased, oh no, I'm so scared. He was intrigued. Well, my uptight little brother, today you're going to become a loser. After a while, they arrived in front of a grand casino. That, seeing it for the first time, was in awe. My God, I never knew a building could look like this. Mary, also experiencing it for the first time, was excited. My womanly heart is about to flutter. Only Chris was calm. He must have been here dozens of times. He handed them a mask. Now, stop acting like a country bumpkin. Put this on. You can only enter after concealing your identity. Chris reminded Mary, from now on, stay hidden so no one sees you. And one more thing. Lean in. He entrusted her with a task. I will follow your orders, young lord, Mary said cheerfully, then disappeared. Then was confused. Where did Mary go? Chris put on his mask. You don't need to worry about that. We should go in. They entered the casino, attracting everyone's attention. The veteran gamblers smirked. Looks like some fat pigeons. I can't believe they walked right into the tiger's den. Chris leaned close to them and challenged. Hey, want to bet on who wins more in an hour? If you win, I'll call you big brother for a month. Then was interested. Really? Chris added a condition. But if you lose, you have to call me venerable imperial brother. That, confused by the title, asked, what? Chris didn't elaborate, just handed him a bag of money. Here. If you're scared, then forget it. Than's fighting spirit ignited. He snatched the bag. Who said I'm scared? I'm going first. His eyes burned with an indescribable fire. At the blackjack table, the dealer flipped the cards of blackjack. The man next to Chris patted his shoulder. A win for the young gentleman. You're pretty good. Play some more and you'll make a fortune. Chris pretended to be a novice, happily raking in his winnings. My luck is good today. He was secretly calculating. In the beginning, they'll let me win a little to lure arrogant rookies into betting big. I know exactly how these scammers operate. Suddenly, a scream was heard. Then clutched his head in panic. Impossible. I had a good hand. A rookie had fallen for the trick. Chris approached him. Hey, maybe we should go home. Did you lose too? Then asked. I only lost 500 rupee, he replied. Not to be outdone, then said, I only lost 1,000 rupee. The other gamblers, seeing the two brothers talking, quietly schemed. Chris was satisfied. Good. Now everyone sees then is a rookie. A scammer is sure to lure him in. He asked, so, are you going to keep playing? Then grabbed his money bag. I will win. Give me the money. Chris smiled slyly. Remember, I tried to stop you. Out loud he said that, but inwardly he thought, stop you. I hope you lose everything and become a tatty bait, my dear little brother. Time passed. The people in the casino colluded, pulling various tricks right in front of him. Perfect, Chris thought. Finally, Mary returned and whispered, Master, I found the people you mentioned. Good job, he praised. On the other side, then cried out in anguish, they lost. Why 10-0 rupee. Amazing, aren't they? Mary said happily. Chris gave a thumbs up. Yeah, amazing. They left the casino and went elsewhere. This is the place, young lord, Mary said. Open the door, he ordered. The door opened, and the people inside turned in surprise and rushed forward. Who are you? Chris didn't hesitate, removing his mask. Now, I'm sure everyone knows who I am. They recognized him and stammered, a young lord. What brings you here? He smiled. Bring out your boss. A voice exclaimed, Almighty, young lord. Have you come to play? It was Grandel, the head of the Grand Merchant Guild, famous for his business acumen. But in reality, Chris waved his hand. I hope we can talk in private. Grandel was terrified. What on earth is this about? Chris was blunt. You swindled my younger brother. I care for him deeply, and yet you ask what this is about. Grandel was startled. Impossible. Could the person in the mask have been? That's right, Chris confirmed. He is the heir to Count Kaza. Grandel waved his hands. Young lord, I assure you, I only run the casino. What others do has nothing to do with me. Before he could finish his excuse, Mary transformed, terrifying Grandel into shouting, Do you want to die? He fell to his knees, kowtowing. I apologize. I sincerely apologize. If I had known it was the Count's son, I would never have dared. Please have mercy. Those aren't just empty words, are they? Chris asked. Of course not. Grandel affirmed. I will compensate you. How much will be enough? He asked nonchalantly. 1 million. Grandel was shocked. What? He stammered. Young lord, we don't have that much cash on hand. Chris lowered the price. Then 200. 0. Grandel wept. Is that much enough? That's our entire fortune. Chris's eyes were threatening. You also have to give me one more thing. What is it? Grandel asked helplessly. After forcing Grandel to pay up, he used the money to buy weapons. Mary was amazed. I can't believe you used the 200 rupee you extorted to buy combat tools. What a masterful plan, young lord. Chris smoothed his hair arrogantly. Of course it's masterful. Mary noticed the sword at his hip. But the sword they gave you is a grumet. Isn't that the holy sword that a hero of the past obtained by offering his soul? I heard many demons covet it because the hero used it after his fall. But now it's all rusted. It's fine, Chris said casually. It's all part of the plan. Not wanting to listen to her chatter, he handed her something. That's enough. Take this. You were staring at it earlier, weren't you? In Mary's hand was an exquisite necklace. She was touched. Before I died and even after, this is the first time I've ever received a gift like this. Thanks to you. Truly. Chris turned away, waving his hand. All right, let's go home. Mary smiled brightly. Yes, master. I will place my whole heart in it as thanks. From now on, I will make even more delicious blood juice. He refused. I told you I don't drink that stuff. Are you repaying my kindness with hostility? Mary was confused. But it's been in the strawberry juice you've been drinking all this time, master. Chris was exasperated. Can you not make such creepy jokes? He brushed off a thought. Wait a minute. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Mary was also puzzled. And I'm sure I'll remember later. Back at the casino, Then was still sitting there, trembling. He had only 1 rupee left. The next morning, Then was screaming. He ran over and ripped the blankets off the sleeping Krez. Why did you abandon me? Then demanded. I was almost sold as a slave. Luckily, someone recognized me. Chris yawned. My apologies. My apologies. I was sure Grandel would help you. Seeing his nonchalant face, Then roared, how can you be sorry? At that moment, Frizz remembered, by the way, don't you notice something? You lost. You have to keep your promise. Come on, call me venerable imperial brother. Then's face turned pale, and sweat poured down. He clenched the blanket, furious but resigned. Brother. Chris picked his nose. Say that again. The Hunted, in rage, tore the blanket apart, and shouted, Venerable imperial brother. Chris flicked a booger away and smiled. Good. Remember to always respect me. Then was so angry he coughed up blood. He left, but not without a threat. One day, I will have my revenge. Just you wait. Chris rested his chin on his hand, watching them leave, thinking, that child will kill me in the future entirely, because he brought it upon himself. See. Son of Lenim. The future head of the Black Magic clan, the strongest young lord. I feel nothing towards him, because I'm not the real Christian. But if I want to become the patriarch, I'll definitely have to face him. He clenched his fist with determination. Just you wait. I will help you settle this score. With that thought, he considered his next move. To do that, I must first win over Merlin. Chris noticed the sword lying on his luggage. After changing, he picked up the sword from the floor ruin. Countless people had tried to wield it. This sword was once considered a mere display piece, because no one could lift it. Curious, he gripped it, wanting to try. The moment he touched it, the sword emitted a powerful repulsive force, making his hand itch. He nodded. Just as I thought. It rejects dark energy. That makes sense, it's a creation that uses holy light power. He took out his repair tools. Anyway, you're just a sword. I'll fix your repulsive nature. Chris gripped the hammer and slammed it down, each blow carrying immense energy. But what broke was the hammer, not the sword. He looked at his broken tools. Hip. He grabbed another hammer and smiled cruelly. Get ready. With another hammer in his left hand, he threatened, I'm going to do this all night. The sword seemed to tremble in fear. A few days later, in the secret training area, his father asked, Prez, are you ready? Yes, father, he replied. Looking at the woman beside him, he asked, but who is this? I feel like I've met her before. The person turned around, and he recognized her immediately. Wait a minute. He bowed politely. Greetings, commander of the Black Knight Order. Nephew, long time no see, she replied. The woman was Marian, commander of the Black Knight Order, daughter of an elder in the clan, his father's sister, and a viscountess. She protected the elders, carried out secret missions, and supervised the elite of the elite families. Why is she here? Press wondered. His father explained. Sister Marian came to handle the issue concerning Cox. Marian laughed. That child acted quite arrogantly. Press wondered. Don't tell me the elders want to protect Say. That would be troublesome. He smiled. It seems the elders have a lot of free time, paying attention to such a small matter. Marian replied. Actually, he's not interested in your squabbles, but in you. Press was surprised, but determined. This will be my chance to win his favor. Marian warned. I don't know if you're brave or foolish. You haven't even reached 2 stars, yet you dare to issue a challenge. Why not postpone the match? He gripped his sword arrogantly. Thank you for your concern, Aunt, but I have my own ways. Marian recognized the sword. Isn't that ruined? She scolded. Have you lost your mind? I know you're good at causing trouble, but I didn't expect this. She asked his father. Reborn, didn't you say Christian had changed? Are you defending her, sister? I'm telling the truth. Marian didn't believe him. Changed by using a holy sword in a duel. Chris asked, am I not allowed to use it? I just need to win. Marian exclaimed, even the patriarch failed to subdue Runet. It will burn you to a crisp. Is that so? Chris wanted to show off. He gripped the sword without any issue. I'm still fine. Marian was suspicious. Is it a fate? Seeing she didn't believe him, he tossed her the sword. Want to try? The moment Marian touched it, the repulsion effect occurred. She threw it to the ground. How can you? He picked it up. That's a secret I can't tell. But I can say one thing, the reason I can use the sword that the patriarch couldn't is because I'm better. Hearing this, Raiden wore the dazed expression of a doting father. Suddenly, a voice rang out. The young master is still amusing, is he? Taming a holy sword. It was Merlin. She emerged from a spatial gate, indifferent to his words or possessions. So what? He won't see the light of day tomorrow. Merlin's confidence left Kreia speechless. Merlin charged forward. He immediately blocked with his sword. Just as I thought, no restrictions. He thought, her strength and speed far surpassed before. I can't close this gap at all. The two swords clashed, creating a chilling sound. Chris's sword erupted with holy power, deforming Merlin's sword. Raiden and Marian watched from the sidelines, unable to believe the power of the holy sword resisting the dark energy. At that level, hasn't he already surpassed me when I was young? Raiden exclaimed. That's not the end of it, Marian added. Look at how the child moves to use the holy sword. She pointed at them. The sword, filled with divine power, was quickly enveloped by Chris's magic. He delivered a powerful slash at Merlin, sending her flying back. What incredible power, Raiden marveled. but it seems his dark energy is fluctuating. Oh, Marianne corrected. He's controlling his dark energy in an instant to avoid the holy sword's rejection. Merlin retreated, keeping a safe distance. Chris arrogantly asked, well, does this fight satisfy you? Merlin replied, I've been thinking about this for a while. You're predicting my movements, aren't you? Chris laughed. I happen to be quite observant. Every sword strike has a preparatory stance. You need to raise your arm before swinging down, and to do that, you have to move your muscles and upper body. This is common for both novices and experts. Merlin sighed and activated her magic. What about this then? The sudden attack put Chris on the defensive. The Black Knights are magic swordsmen, Merlin said smugly. I had almost got into trouble there. Suddenly, a blinding light flashed. Interesting, isn't it? Chris said cheerfully. But luckily, it's fine. The amulet he wore around his neck rendered Merlin's magic useless. A purification artifact. Chris turned to Raiden. Father, thanks to you, I survived. Raiden tilted his head. It's supposed to be in the secret vault, isn't it? Chris laughed. I have a bit of a stealing habit sometimes. Both Raiden and Marion were exasperated. Chris took another item from his coat. Good equipment is also a skill. He threw it, and it exploded, giving Merlin no time to dodge. Even if you dodge, it's useless, he warned, throwing another red orb that exploded violently. I got this artifact with the money from Grandel. It's quite effective, Chris thought, not underestimating his opponent. He shouted, I know you're still alive. Come on out. A sword shot out from the sea of flames. Chris casually swung his sword, blocking Merlin's blade. Her sword shattered, exposing her. Raiden proudly showed off to Marion. See, sister. I told you, the boy is a genius. He threw the corrosive gem into the air. Marion remained silent, focused on the fight. Merlin emerged from the explosion, her body radiating killing intent. Young master, she smiled, charging at him. This is so much fun. What will you attack with next? Marion was startled. Oh my god, Merlin has lost her mind. We have to stop her. But Chris quickly dodged Merlin's punch with one hand. He lightly pushed, redirecting the punch, then stepped back. You blocked my attack. Merlin asked, surprised. Finally, he held his sword to her neck. It seemed victory is mine, Chris said excitedly. Is that enough to satisfy you? Blood trickled from the cut on Merlin's face. Raiden beamed with pride. Marion was helpless. Merlin laughed. Are you really asking that? I can't calm down anymore. Then please answer my previous request soon, Chris replied. Although victory is mine, I will respect it if you refuse. Loyalty cannot be won by force. Merlin wondered, if I side with you, will you continue to fight me like this in the future? Chris took her hand and pulled her out. As much as you like. The scene shifted to Marion, looking into the distance. Using dark energy like that. She remembered the patriarch throwing the same sword Chris was holding. I refuse, he had said. Marianne had been helpless. Even the patriarch can't do it. I can use it for a moment, the patriarch had replied, but the waves of dark energy are constantly changing. One must continuously adjust if the sword doesn't detect the difference. Who can do that in a real battle? Only the demon king Gehenna or the black dragon of the demon world. Otherwise, only a crazy bastard who controls dark energy as easily as breathing could use it. And that bastard was Chris. Chris smiled and asked Marion, Aunt Marion, how did I do? Is it enough to receive praise? Marion was silent, then marveled, perhaps father's long-held wish can finally come true. A luxurious kitchen appeared. Talented chefs and bakers were passionately at work. A fierce-looking chef brought his knife down with powerful force on a small strawberry on the cutting board, slicing it perfectly. Each strawberry was meticulously placed on a cake. Chris was stunned to see him making a strawberry cake. Mary laughed. Oh, don't judge by appearances. His skills are top-notch. The baker finished, and approached them, speaking with a slight lisp. Young master, what brings you to the kitchen? Chris, with his hands on his hips, said, to make some cookies. You're making cookies? Mary asked. To give to someone, he said confidently. Hearing this, Mary leaned on Chris and cried, it's for another woman, not me. Ew, Chris yelled. God, it's not what you think. Well, it is for a woman. The polite baker offered, I can make the cookies for you. Oh, it's fine, Chris refused. Making cookies with my own hands is what's important. He closed his eyes proudly. It may not look like it, but cookies are before he could finish. A red liquid splattered on his face. It came from the mortar of two fierce-looking bakers who were pounding what used to be strawberries. Chris was alarmed. Hey, Are you sure they're not putting blood in the strawberry juice? Mary only laughed in response. Oh ho oh. With everything done, Chris brought a box to Marian, who was preparing her horse. Ah, Marian. Marian started. What is it, Chris? He smiled politely. I heard you're leaving, so I came to say goodbye. I appreciate that, Marian praised. You must still be tired from yesterday's match. Chris handed her the gift box. It's nothing. Here's a gift for you. Marian opened the box. Inside were beautiful cookies of various shapes and colors. She was surprised. Are these cookies? Her eyes lit up, but her voice remained serious. You didn't need to prepare a gift. Prize was cheerful. I was very happy to see you again and wanted to make something. Redan, standing next to Marian, rubbed his chin. So that's when he came to find me, asking what Aunt Marian likes to eat. Aha. So this is why he's like this. Commendable. He knows how to win people over. While Marian was contemplating the box of cookies, Chris said, please try one. And made them myself. Really? You made them? Marian asked. She put one in her mouth. At the first bite, she was surprised by how delicious it was, but quickly regained her composure. Ah, it's very good. I'm glad you liked it, Chris smiled. I must give you something in return for this wonderful gift, Marian said. Do you have a wish? Chris's eyes sharpened. If possible, please become my real aunt. Marian was serious. Since we share the same blood, your words must have a hidden meaning. I heard from Reborn that you are training for the dark sacred ritual. Is that right? Chris smiled and nodded. SC, Marian continued. So you want my support in the upcoming succession war? She bowed her head and sighed. But unfortunately, I cannot grant your wish. She explained, as you know, adults from the main branch must be fair to all candidates. That is the rule. Oh, Chris replied. I'm just making a sincere request. I want to be closer to you. That's absurd, Marian said. You really have no other intentions. Of course, Chris said calmly. If you support and secretly help me. He clasped his hands, his eyes shining. I won't refuse. He looked at Marian with sparkling eyes. She ate another cookie and said, I don't dislike your honesty. My nephew who makes delicious cookies just for me. I can only cheer for him. Chris beamed. Thank you, aunt. But in return, Marian asked, can I have more delicious cookies next time? That depends on you, he replied. The two didn't notice Reborn wiping away tears of emotion nearby. Chris playfully made a heart shape with his hands. If you make me sad, I might get sulky and not make this flavor anymore. The childish act made Marian chuckle, but she suddenly asked, Chris, what do you think about joining the Black Shadow Order? He hesitated. That? Marian persuaded him. You stood out in the match against Merlin. You might be able to surpass the elders, but your opponents are not easy to defeat. I worry your talent will fade before it blooms. Chris replied firmly, if he failed to follow my own path, I'd rather die. He confidently declared, I understand your concern, but I don't think I will lose. Marian looked at him, thinking, such irrational confidence, but with this child, it might just work. She said, I understand. Anyway, you're a devil. I can't stop you from walking a path of blood. She mounted her horse, emphasizing, be wary of the grand princesses. Reborn spoke up, wary of Julian. Otse. Isn't she the most elegant one? Marian tightened the reins. You'll understand soon enough. Chris smiled. Thank you very much, aunt. I will remember that. Marian turned her back, smiling slightly. See you again, my nephew. After she left, Chris returned to his room and fell onto the bed. The silence was strange. He thought, father and aunt are both very strong, reaching 6 stars, but I haven't heard much about them in the previous Great War. How many powerful warriors are there in the Magic Empire? Surely enough to easily overwhelm the Kingdom of Light. He remembered his best life where the Kingdom of Light fell to the flames of the Great War. I don't want the past to repeat. Chris clenched his fist, his determination rising. I must become stronger, faster. A month later, his father summoned him. You called for me, father. Reborn rubbed his temples. Yes, I have something to tell you. But before he could speak, his eyes widened in surprise at Chris's different appearance. He looked more refined. Wait, you've reached 2 stars already. Chris, with cold eyes, thought, to achieve such growth in just 1 month. He shrugged slightly. I don't understand why you're surprised. I made a promise to you, didn't I? On one side, a question on the other, ain't her? Reborn placed a letter in front of him. I received news from the main family. He sighed, his face grim. I submitted both here. and then's names as candidates for the dark sacred ritual, but they only accepted then. The reason felt like a punch to the gut. Your wasteful spending, your promiscuous habits have ruined everything. Destroying property while drunk, even stealing. All of it was true. Hearing this, Frizz's mind went blank, and he fainted on the spot. Raiden was furious. How dare they look down on my son? Friz came to and asked, was it Viscount Lunham who made this decision? After C's misconduct, the Viscount doesn't have much say anymore. Suddenly, they both exclaimed in unison Leon Barrett. He was a direct descendant of the main family, the rising star of the dark sacred ritual, a ritual where candidates absorb pure darkness from a negative dimension. Since the amount of darkness was limited, they participated in a semi-official life and death battle to determine their ranking. The higher the rank, the more darkness they could claim. This ritual decided who would become a young lord, a candidate to inherit the family. If Leon won and monopolized the darkness, Priz's goal would become much harder. Raiden stood up and approached him. Don't worry. I'll talk to them. If that fails, I'll ask Marion for help. Naam neat, father, Priz replied. I'll handle this myself. Raiden placed a hand on his shoulder. Priz, I know you have talent and have changed, but you can let the adults handle this. Priz looked at his father gently. I appreciate your sentiment, father. But his face suddenly twisted into a mischievous grin. But I have my own way. It was clearly nothing good. He asked, are any of Count Tyraman's children from the branch families participating? Yes, Raiden replied. Count Tyraman's third son. He shouted in anger. That scoundrel sided with Leon, saying you're not qualified to participate in the dark sacred ritual. He's just a fraud who controls magical beasts. Chris helplessly watched his father rage, comforting him. Calm down, father. I just need to prove myself. The Tyraman family is about to organize a dark herb hunt. I will participate as a guide. His mouth curved into a smile as the sunset illuminated the magnificent castles below. In a dark room, the patriarch held a golden hammer. Ridiculous. I can't believe it. The child I remember was a brat who called himself a genius, but he was just a fate. Mary, reporting, said, he is different now. Do you believe this child can fulfill my long-held wish? The patriarch asked. That wish was the reason he continued to live, even defying death with forbidden magic. Mary broke into a sweat. I cannot be certain, but he is the closest to what we desire. The room was silent. Interesting, the patriarch murmured. I will keep an eye on that brat. But his participation in the dark secret ritual seems unlikely, doesn't it? That is the general consensus in the clan. Will you intervene, father? Mary asked. He shook his head. I cannot interfere in such a trivial matter. The patriarch smiled. How can a beast not overcome such a small challenge? Mary was startled. The patriarch's face darkened, his sharp eyes fixed on her. She bowed her head, avoiding his gaze. He was always harsh with those he had high expectations for. Since you're willing to go this far, you must really like him. From a black smoke, the blood drinker, Simon, the head butler of the black magic clan, appeared. You called for me, master. The patriarch's voice was deep. You heard everything, didn't you? Yes, Simon replied. I just need to observe young Master Krez. Report to me everything he does before the dark sacred ritual, the patriarch ordered. Simon bowed. Understood. But may I play around a little while I am watching? Mary was uneasy, but the patriarch agreed. Don't go too far. Simon smiled, his fangs glinting, then disappeared into the black smoke. Mary closed her eyes. I hope that child makes it through safely. The sun set over a peaceful village. Chris thought, thanks to my talents, I reached 2 stars quickly. But even after so much training, my dark energy isn't enough to reach 3 stars. I need dark herbs to accumulate a large amount of energy in a short time. And yet, the Tyraman family, who organizes the dark herb hunt, is feuding with me. How'd I? To catch the magical beast Karajab and get the dark herb, special conditions must be met. The wheels rolled along the long road. Grantel ran out. Young master, what brings you here today? How have you been? Chris stepped out of the carriage with Mary. Wait, you didn't come empty-handed, did you? Grantel held up a bag of goods. Of course not. Chris snatched it and threw it to the ground. Gold coins scattered. He said contemptuously, such a mediocre gift. It seems you don't know your place. Chris put a hand on his shoulder. I hear you're involved in all sorts of illegal activities. A man ran up, shouting, is tax evasion from the casino profitable? What about the items you swindled from the merchant guild? What do you want me to do, young master? The people who had been pressing him nearby were released when they heard Chris say, I'll let it slide this time. But stop crossing the line. Understand? Grandel nodded. Yes, yes. Chris slung an arm around his shoulder. Get me a dark herb, will you? Grandel trembled, sweating profusely. A dark herb. The price on the black market has skyrocketed recently. Chris turned to Mary. Are you ready? Mary transformed into a monster with sharp fangs. My torture skills are top-notch. Grandel panicked and knelt. I'll get it right away. Isn't it easier when we cooperate? Press Wingy. By the way, get me a knife sharp enough to cut through armor. Grandel was confused, not understanding what he was planning. After dealing with him, Chris left. Grandel remained, cursing and crying. That bastard. Are you going home, young master? Mary asked. He replied. I have one more place to go. He noticed something in the distance. The river. Can you stop here? The carriage screeched to a halt. Chris entered a shop. Welcome. He looked at the menu. I'll take this. A vial of pink liquid was placed on the counter. Mary whispered, you need an aphrodisiac. In the shop, Mary kept looking at him with suspicion. It made him break out in a cold sweat, his face pale. Suddenly, he turned angrily. Master, could it be? Mary smiled shyly. All right, I understand. I said it's not like that. Chris snapped. Mary's face darkened. It's not for me, it's for someone else. He nodded slightly. Maybe it's for the Count. The shopkeeper couldn't believe what he was hearing. Chris spoke seriously. Considering my father's age, I need to take better care of him. He pointed at the shopkeeper. For the Count's honor, you must keep this an absolute secret. The shopkeeper nodded. Yes, I will be careful. The scene shifted to his father accompanying him to Thin. His father gently patted Thin's back, making him tremble. Then remembered the title, My Venerable Imperial Brother. I heard the dark herb hunt is very dangerous. Please be careful not to get hurt. Chris winked playfully. Oh, are you worried about me now? Thin blushed. I'm just worried because we haven't had a proper duel. Their father intervened. Now, meow, brothers, don't fight. Go and shut up those arrogant Tyraman bastard. Chris smiled brightly. I'll bring back good news. But what's this about Imperial? He clapped his father on the shoulder. You don't need to know, father. At the estate of Count Tyraman, the scenery was picturesque with leaves rustling under the blue sky. A sinister-looking servant blocked the door. I'll say it again, you are not to enter the Count's mansion. Chris and his companions were furious. How dare you say that after making us wait? Do you know who he is? Chris listened silently as the butler said, Young Master Lo ordered it. He has no time for a bastard scoundrel. Killing intent exploded from Chris. He growled, You mean I have to find my own lodging? The butler trembled, sweating. That's right. A companion was about to charge. Young Master, I'll bring you his head. But Chris stopped him, approached the butler. What about lodging expenses? Can you send the bill to Count Tyraman? The butler forced a smile. Under the sun, a fountain reflected the magnificent palace like a mirror. Chris led everyone to a splendid hotel. A manager asked, how much did this place cost? He was generous. 100 rupees. It's rare to spend someone else's money. My luggage is in the lobby. Everyone has an hour to settle in, then we'll go for a drink. A brilliant blue light emanated from his luggage. Mary flew out in surprise. Master, this villa is amazing. She was entranced. It's perfect for serving you. Chris was exasperated. How are you here? Mary danced. I hid in the luggage. I promise to be your maid forever. You're so adorably embarrassed, master. He sighed at her expression. She must have missed this woman. Alo, Count Tyraman's third son, received the bill and was furious. What is this? Chris sneered. He told me to find my own place to sleep, and I did. What did I do wrong? I don't stay in mediocre hotels, so I just bought a villa and gave it up. Alo roared. Chris mocked. You're not warming up because of the money, are you? It's your fault for being a pathetic host who doesn't know how to welcome guests. This is a cheap price to teach you some manners. Alo gritted his teeth, clenching the paper, and summoned a black panther. Do you want to die? Chris thought. Tyraman suppression technique. Binding magical beasts with fear, different from the Alliance's taming. It uses a secret formula to paralyze reason, causing hallucinations of fear and excitement. It's more complex than I thought. I can't learn it quickly. For now, I'll just beat it to a pulp. He ordered Mary, eliminate that cat. I need a weapon. A sword appeared in his hand. He provoked, what are you waiting for? Charge like a demon. Alo ordered the Black Panther to attack. You bastard scoundrel, don't give me orders. Sharp fangs, saliva flying everywhere. Chris blocked the attack with his long sword, but the bite was too strong, and the sword cracked. He was thrown back, standing up in the dust. Not a bad counter, but 2 against 1 is cheating, isn't it? He taunted. If I win, I'll be your bodyguard instead of your guide. This much should be enough to cover expenses, my cheap friend. Alo, in rage, rode the panther and charged. You arrogant fool, I'll make you kneel. His eyes were bloodshot. The black panther swiped its claws, but when it pounced, Chris had already disappeared. Where did he go? Alo wondered. Chris appeared behind him, striking his neck with a staff. Alo screamed in pain. Chris stopped. Does it hurt? Don't cry. I won't go easy on you just because you're crying. The 2 sides faced off, one like the Grim Reaper, the other blinded by hatred. The Black Panther cautiously knelt, trembling. Alo yelled, "You bastard, how dare you do that to my Choco?" Chris laughed. I only used a 2-star illusion spell. It seems your pathetic suppression technique can't even overcome that. Alo summoned a magic circle, calling forth a large black horse. Chris sneered. Do you know what the characteristic of trash is? Before he could finish, he unleashed a powerful blow that shot past Alo's head, knocking him out instantly. The black horse shook its head in fear. We don't have time to wait for a transformation, you know, Chris said. He entered a casino. Young master, are you sure? There's still plenty of time. We should rest. What's wrong with an untalented person doing untalented things? Chris said, annoyed. He turned to Mary. Right. Mary brought a glass of ginger ale. Everything is fine, as long as the young master doesn't drink alcohol. He burst into tears. Damn it, I want wine, not ginger ale. A Tyraman servant interjected. Why did young master Alo tell us to watch this bastard? Chris taunted. Why not play along? Master, you won't be sober by tomorrow. I've hit him many times. I'll keep it a secret. What do you think? The 2 guards growled. We don't need your concern. Then feel free to watch. Chris laughed. As the sun set, he was still playing cards. Deal the cards. Drink my share of the wine. I'm not backing down this time. Night fell, and they still hadn't stopped. The 2 butlers glared at him as if they wanted to eat him alive. Chris passed out drunk with cards on his head. When he woke up, he was as sober as ever. Time to clean up and go. He thought, annoying pets. It's dark, I should act. Mary, I need to go somewhere quickly. Don't follow me, he said. Mary was sad. The aphrodisiac from earlier. Chris was startled. What? Mary whispered. I knew it. It wasn't for the count, it was for the young master. It's sad I can't go to bed with you, but I support your nighttime activities. Darkness covered the mountain. Chris, wearing a hood, snuck along the path. This is a secret area of Tyraman. The monster energy is dense. Just as the rumors said. He touched the trees. The hunting area is close. A camp appeared with 2 large fires, and only 2 guards. So lacked. He used the invisibility magic he learned from Mary to slip past the guards. Mary appeared. What are you planning to do with the invisibility magic, young master? Why do you keep bringing that up? Chris snapped it. He infiltrated the base and saw a magic circle under the moonlight, the ritual altar for the dark herb hunt. Strange, just as the rumors said. He recalled the instructions to get the dark herb. One must make Karajub offer its own life, frightened to the point of preferring death. He drew a line on the ground, and a bright light exploded. When fear and pleasure connect, the useless pill will be reborn as a dark herb. That's why Tyraman leads, by overwhelming monsters with fear. He laughed. As he said, I plan to steal their ultimate skill, feed Karajub the mixed aphrodisiac to make it go berserk, then monopolize the dark herb. But I don't have enough time to learn. I have to find another way. A cold feeling behind him made him turn, but he only saw the endless night. He walked towards it, hearing rustling leaves. A dark shadow led to a huge cave, from which a terrifying demonic presence emanated. Don't tell me this is a Dehenna, a dangerous demon world. A magic circle inside glowed. He stopped. Wait, what if I lure Courage up here? He took out the vial. And I have something to lure it with. Good, I can't wait any longer. Chris stepped deeper into the cave, unaware of a red and black shadow with claws following him. It was Simon. I didn't expect the kid to be this interesting, beating that Tyraman brat to a pulp, making the surveillance relax by acting incompetent. All his actions are within my sight. Simon smiled, his fangs glinting. This makes me want to play a bigger prank on him. He stepped on the magic circle and reached into the rift. A gray substance dripped down, creating a grotesque scene. A voice echoed, What is your wish? Simon licked his lips and reached towards the rift. The next day, at the start of the hunt, a person planted a flag in the ground. It was none other than Alo. In his group, Press was also present, remarking, Alo must think he looks cool, even after getting beaten to a pulp. Shut up, you fake. Alo snapped. Why are you carrying a holy sword when you can't even use it? It's more effective than a stick. Want to try? Chris replied. Alo changed the subject. Lure the monster to the altar. Whoever it is assigned to protect it, stand with me. Simon watched secretly from a distance, and Chris had clearly spotted him. Alo urged Chris to answer, but he just said, whenever you want. At the altar, a guard told Chris to stand aside. You're obstructing the hunt. Leave there if you like, Chris said coldly. But don't come crying to me for help when things go wrong. The words angered the man, but Alo cut him off. Don't tire yourself out before we even start. The useless one can go guard the flag. I will protect the flag with my life, Chris declared. He sat under a tree, murmuring, I want to watch them try their best, and then accidentally fall into my trap. He had prepared a dagger and the aphrodisiac. The other group began searching the area. Hearing a voice, Chris knew the monster was coming. Finally, Karajub appeared, a level 4 magic demon. Why does it look so goofy? Chris asked. Its appearance was strangely cute. The others asked Alo, are you ready? It's time. The beastman in the group urged, use your subjugation skill. Alo raised his hand and chanted. While Karajub pecked at the ground, his teammates cast slowing spells, helping Alo approach with his subjugation skill. Suddenly, Karajub's eyes changed. It roared and turned on Alo. He panicked and raised his hands to defend himself but was slapped hard and knocked down. Everyone realized the poison from its small feather-like tentacles. They quickly formed a defensive formation around Alo, but Chris shook his head, thinking, useless. It's lost control because of the aphrodisiac it gave it. Alo covered his nose. Luckily we took the antidote beforehand, but it's still dangerous if this drags on. He called out, try to stop it. Karajub launched into the air, aiming straight for Alo. The group shouted his name. Alo closed his eyes in fear, but opened them in surprise to see Chris standing in front of him, blocking the attack with his holy sword. The Tyraman family is truly pathetic, Chris mocked. I can't believe they forced the flag bearer to step in. He said, I'll save you if you call me big brother. You're crazy. Alo cursed. Why would I do that? You really don't want. Chris countered. As if I'm not famous everywhere. The others started coughing from the poison. Alo gritted his teeth, realizing he was right, and pleaded, you bastard. Keep your promise, Chris replied. He struck Karajub hard on the head, using his own version of the subjugation skill to create chains around one side of the monster to restrain it. How did you do that? Alo asked, surprised. Chris laughed. Did you really think your family was the only one who knew how to use it? To me, an intermediate subjugation skill is nothing. He turned, grabbed the chains like rings, and jumped onto Karajub's back. It shrieked and ran wildly. Wait, Alo shouted. There's a rift ahead. He tried to warn him, but Chris smiled. They've known since last night. He charged straight for it. Karajub panicked. This must be the first time it's felt the malice from Dehanna, Chris said. He afraid. Its crimson eyes turned a brilliant gold. Chris tightened his grip on the dagger, and plunged it through the monster's shell, killing it instantly. The others ran over. Are you okay? This cave is dangerous. We need to get out quickly. Don't be so wee, Chris replied, pulling a core from the monster. Alo's group was amazed. So it was for the core, not the dark herb. Alo started to get annoyed. The beastman under his command asked, Praise, what are you going to do about this? If you hadn't interfered, none of this would have happened. But Alo cut him off. Enough. Leave it. He turned to Krez. Thank you for saving my subordinates and helping them complete the mission without anyone getting seriously injured. Krez was surprised that Alo admitted it, thinking, now I feel a bit bad. Even worse knowing I switched out the aphrodisiac. Even so, I still have to do what I have to do, he said, telling Alo to call him Big Brother as promised. Are you going to break your word? I never promised that. Alo retorted. I'm 2 years older than you. Suddenly, the cave shook violently. Everyone was thrown to the ground by a terrifying pressure. What's happening? Alo panicked. Chris realized something as 2 giant blue eyes appeared in front of him, looking slightly worried. A voice echoed from the demon. It's been a long time since I've seen such an interesting toy. A demon from hell, Chris murmured. Alo trembled, urging Chris to run. You're an outsider. Save yourself. Chris spotted Simon on the cave ceiling, flicked his wrist, and threw a dagger straight at him. The blade passed through, but it turned out to be just a familiar summon used for surveillance. It lost connection immediately. Sinman was surprised. When did he notice? Is he planning to stop the demon? The familiar fell, and the teleportation plan vanished. He calculated, even if he used blood magic to its limit, it will take me at least 5 minutes to get there. If I am late, everyone will die. He rushed off, apparently not entirely a villain, just wanting to play a prank, as he told the patriarch. The demon called you interesting. What are you plotting? I just hate being watched, Chris replied. The demon laughed. He doesn't care much for a dead man. Compared to the demons of the destruction era, you're just a low-level demon, Chris observed, but at least you're 5 stars. Not something I can easily deal with right now. He raised a finger. It's not all bad news. I used a spell to put everyone to sleep, just like I did with the waitress when those 2 drinking buddies almost killed her. Alo's subordinates gradually lost consciousness. What are you doing? Alo shouted. We need to fight together. You have good magic resistance, Press praised, then punched Alo in the stomach. Go to sleep. The demon tore a corpse apart and asked, Are you going to offer them to me? Sacrifice them, and I'll spare you and grant you my blessing. Stop barking, Press snapped. My principle is not to deal with demons. He drew his holy sword. The demon recognized it and praised, a good idea, but a holy sword you can't use is just trash. It shot a spell at Chris. He blocked with the sword but was overpowered and thrown against the cave wall, unconscious. The demon grabbed his arm and lifted him. Last chance. Offer them to be released. Chris spat in its face. Why do you think I can't use a holy sword? He broke free, flung to its leg, and bent his body as it landed. He activated his other energy core, and the tip of the holy sword regrew with an aura. How can someone like you use the power of light? The demon asked, worried. Are you finally realizing your life is in danger? Chris asked. This won't stop me. The demon replied, creating a giant red orb. Chris waited into stance, ready, and shouted, unleashing the sea-splitting light wave. He swung his sword, creating a massive golden wave that crashed into the demon. It roared, impossible, and collapsed, defeated. It seemed Chris had killed it. His eyes were tired. I pushed my body too hard. His vision narrowed, and he fell, everything blurring. The scene flashed back to his previous life. His friend Ivan was amazed. Did you really copy my ability? More or less, Chris had replied. You really are a special person, Ivan had said. The sea-splitting light wave symbolizes the ray of light that parts the sea of death. But ironically, even using this swordsmanship, you didn't become the light of the Mer family. Nevertheless, you will surely be the light that saves the world. A blue finger touched a puddle. Chris was still on the verge of death. A woman's voice said, How interesting. She introduced herself, I am Mephina, the first throne of Gehenna, the 7th realm. A rescue party entered the cave with a healing potion. Chris closed his eyes. I look forward to your future actions, Mephina said. The scene shifted to Count Tyraman's house. My head hurts, Chris said. I can't believe I lay here for 2 days. What a waste of time. But my body is fine. He started looking for the dark herb around the room and found it next to him. Excellent. He mentioned Mephina, saying, That's unwanted attention. Sometimes, promising villains who stand out early receive the blessings of demons and are nurtured quickly. But I don't care. That's for villains. Anyway, a demon from the 7th realm of Gehenna is nothing high class. A knock came at the door. Chris noticed a giant, lion-like man enter and asked, How is your body? It was Count Tyraman, the patriarch of the Tyraman family. Chris greeted him and tried to get out of bed, but the Count stopped him. You should rest. What's happening? Chris asked. The Count explained. Yesterday, we organized an investigation team for the cave. It seems someone tampered with the magic circle sealing the entrance to Gehenna. Luckily, the demons were reverse summoned during that time, but even that brief moment was enough to cost people their lives. Do they really believe it was a reverse summon? Chris wondered. That's absurd. They'd hardly think I killed it. I don't need an excuse to get in it. The Count said, I want to start with an apology. I am sorry for treating you poorly based on rumors that you were useless. He bowed his head. You are a benefactor to the House of Tyraman. I am grateful to you. It's not like that, Chris replied. As a member of the Black Magic clan, I only did what was necessary. Though my conscience is prey, I've decided to muddy the waters a bit. The words seemed to resonate with the Count. He nodded. You're right. If there's anything I can do to help, just say the word. As long as it's not impossible, I'll make sure it happens. Chris thought for a moment, then said, in that case, I hope the House of Tyraman will cast aside its old feud with the House of Kaza. Instead of a relationship like enemies, always baring our fangs at each other, I hope we can have a friendly but competitive relationship, planning for reasonable progress worthy of our shared bloodline. The Count was about to say something, but Chris continued, I'm sure the House of Tyraman also knows the reason for our two families' enmity is due to the behind-the-scenes work of the main family. If the branches unite, the main family would feel threatened. It's a ploy to keep us as guard dogs. Are you planning a rebellion against the main family? The Count asked. I don't think so. Chris shook his head. I just want our two families not to be held back by past mistakes. I never thought you'd think so far ahead, the Count said, amazed. Chris smiled. Thank you for the compliment. Will you accept my request? For the first time in a long time, I will contact Count Kaza, the Count replied, but before he finished, he called for Raiden. Chris smiled. That's right. If we unite one by one like this, we can create a more solid front in the era of destruction. The Count clapped his shoulder and called for Alo. What are you waiting for? My son has something to say. Alo shyly handed him the dark herb. Drink it. When I entered the cave, it was lying on the floor. Since you were unconscious, it kept it. If so, I am very grateful, Chris said. I want to give you more than you've done. Don't even. Alo grumbled. I'll give him a gift on your behalf, the Count laughed. He handed him a summoning stone that could contain a level 4 beast. A rare item indeed, Chris marveled. I will also prepare a report for you to participate in the dark sacred ritual, the Count said. I wish you good results. Chris thanked him for the gift and encouragement. The Count told him to rest. As he and Alo left, Chris smiled and called out, come out. A red aura appeared, and Simon said, as expected. It wasn't by chance that you discovered me. I smelled blood, Chris replied. I am the head butler of the black magic family. Simon introduced himself. Chris wondered, he's the Patriarch's lackey. Eve heard the name Simon somewhere. The leader of the Blood Shadow Demon Sect. He explained, the Blood Shadow Demon Sect doesn't distinguish between the Magic Empire or the Dominion of Apply. They are a fanatical organization that enjoys slaughter and terrorism. Their leader is an 8-star villain who reached 9 stars at the end of the era of destruction, becoming the 10th Demon King. I can't count how many times I nearly died because of him. Simon is the flesh and blood of the Demon King. Simon said, I didn't expect the young master to be so amazing. You even destroyed a demon. I'm sure I handled it myself, Chris thought. He asked, did you see the light that parted the sea of death? After a moment's thought, he denied it. I don't know what you're talking about. Simon laughed. I know you're playing dumb. After entering the cave, the demon's corpse was completely destroyed, leaving no trace. That wasn't a reverse summon, it was completely vaporized. I'm impressed with your skills. Explain. Why should I reveal my trump card? Chris asked. This will be reported to the Patriarch, Simon reminded him. If I were the Patriarch, instead of a bookworm who answers every question, I'd want a predator who hides his claws until the end, Chris replied. You're interesting, Simon said, surprised. Aren't you going to apologize? Chris asked. For what? Simon wondered. Normally, it's hard to distinguish between a reverse summon and annihilation just from the traces. That's why the Count misunderstood. But you believe the opposite, because you were the one who summoned it. A demon summoning that nearly killed family members is insane news that the Patriarch might hear. I will take responsibility, Simon said. Chris decided to keep it a secret. You should remember you owe me a big favor. A deal? Simon asked, surprised. It would be great if you understood it that way. Chris laughed. Simon nodded. I understand. I won't forget your mercy. It was a pleasure meeting you today. I'll be counting the days until you come to the main family. Simon will play a big role in the era of destruction, Chris thought. I must create a connection to change the future. Time flew by. After recovering, Chris prepared to return. His lug cage floated in the air. I'm ready, Mary said. Good, Chris praised. Alo opened the door. Are you leaving now? Use my tile, Chris reminded him. What do you mean? Alo asked. I let it slide yesterday in front of the Count, but a promise is a promise. From now on, call me Big Brother. I told you, I'm 2 years older than you. Alo snapped. Do you have anything else to say? Chris asked. I came to warn you, Alo replied. You said we are family, but I don't think that's true. Be careful. The one who will oppose you most in the dark sacred ritual is young Lord Leon. Even though he's only 2 stars, The level difference between the main family and a branch is vast. The best elixirs, the ultimate techniques, the blessing of the dark magic. Direct descendants have a superior starting point. You will be an easy target. Chris smiled. I'll warn you too, little brother. Don't participate in the upcoming dark sacred ritual for your own good. I said that because I'm worried. Alo fumed. Do you want to monopolize the pure dark energy? Remember, Chris replied, no matter who the opponent is, they will regret facing me in the dark sacred ritual. Alo was furious. Chris told Mary, let's go. He said to Alo, think carefully. Don't regret it later. The scene shifted to the Kaza family estate. Then was looking for his brother, but the butler informed him. He went to the training cave as soon as he returned. He wants to train alone until the dark sacred ritual. Not long after, he caught up to Chris and called out the full title, Venerable Imperial Brother. Then said, you promised to duel me when you return. Chris was surprised. You've grown up so fast. Reaching mid-level 2 stars. You're progressing remarkably. He said he was busy training. Realizing then was also participating in the dark sacred ritual, Chris was worried. That's not good. He told him to wait. After I finish training, we'll duel. You should train too. Promise me you won't delay like last time. Then demanded. Be careful. Alright, Chris laughed. Then laughed. That kid is so stubborn, he thought. Looking at his back, an image of a green-haired girl appeared in his mind. You promise? She had asked. The memory made Chris smile and whisper, he's just like me. In the training area, Chris sat on the bed looking at the dark herb. Half a month left. He chewed it. The taste was disgusting. He lay down, trying to absorb it. As it went down, he murmured, more chaotic than I expected. A strange sensation appeared. What is this? He asked. Light energy in the pill. He wondered. The monster's excitement upon death was mixed into it. No wonder demons have a hard time absorbing it. He continued to guide it through his mana pathways. All that's left is this light force. Demons usually expel it with a teacher's help. But why would I let something so good go to waste? He guided it into his light core, absorbing it along with the darkness. Light and darkness flowed through the pathways to their respective cores. Chris opened his eyes, a strong light flashing, then closed them, revealing darkness. At the same time, the scene shifted to a red-haired woman. She allowed her subordinate into the room. He reported on the dark herb investigation. A demon was summoned during the hunt, but Chris survived. Sorry it took so long to investigate thoroughly, he said. Good job, she praised. Unless you have any questions, I'll take my leave, the subordinate said. She looked at a picture of Chris. This beautiful young woman's name was Idernan. Time flew by. Half a month later, his younger brother then found Chris to challenge him to a duel. Standing outside the door, he called, Today is the day you promise. A voice from inside replied, Come in. In the room, Chris was dressed as if preparing to go somewhere. Then's eyes widened in amazement. Chris turned and smiled brightly. You're here so early in the morning. You must be eager for a beating. Then felt a different aura from his brother. What is this? The overwhelming presence in his aura far surpasses that of half a month ago. He told himself, then scoffed, Don't make me laugh. If you're so eager to taste my fists, I'll grant your wish, Chris replied. But if I win, you have to give up the dark sacred ritual. Then was stunned. What did you say? You know the dark sacred ritual is a competition. The weak should stay away, Chris explained. The words made Then's eyes narrow in anger. He drew his sword. Shut up and draw your sword. Chris shook his head in exasperation. You're so stupid. Can't you see I'm concerned about you? Maybe I have to beat you until you understand. His face showed anticipation. Without warning, then tightened his grip on his sword and charged. But the result was not surprising. He was beaten to a pulp by his older brother, unable to participate in the dark sacred ritual. Redden visited his youngest son and saw Then covered in bandages. He sighed and chided. He went too far this time. The doctor said he needs to rest for half a month. We'll have to wait for the next dark sacred ritual. Father, can I speak to him alone? Chris requested. Raiden was surprised but nodded. All right, I'll leave you two to talk. He quickly left the room. Chris burst out laughing. He sang, Hey, why the long face? Don't whine like those idiots in the Alliance. You were the one who wanted to fight. You really don't want to see me grow up, do you? Then said sadly. You mock and belittle my achievements, and now you even intentionally injure me so I have to miss the dark sacred ritual. His face darkened. Chris felt a pang of guilt. Sigh, you're going to lose your mind like this. He explained, We're misunderstanding each other. I did this to make you stronger. If you fought me in the ritual, you would have permanently lost the chance to gain pure dark energy. I had to be rough, because you're too stubborn. Most importantly, pure dark energy isn't suitable for you. You're more suited for gray dark energy. He continued, like light energy, dark energy is divided into many types. Pure dark is the highest attribute, and right below it is gray dark, which is especially suitable for curse magic. Based on his past life memories, Chris asked, you find it easier to learn curse magic than swordsmanship, right? Dan's eyes widened. How did you know? Chris couldn't say he saw it in the future, so he made something up. I realized it during our sparring session. I fought with all my might, but if you absorb pure dark before mastering gray dark, it will cause problems later on. It's not impossible, but it will slow down your progress. I know you want to get strong quickly. This is my sincere advice, as someone who always supports your growth. He took out the dark herb from the previous hunt and gave it to him. This is a gift for you. Then was surprised. Isn't this a dark herb? Why are you giving me something so precious? Press waved it off. Because you're my brother. What other reason is there? Actually, I think I've eaten something better anyway. The words moved then to tears, but he tried to hold them back. He clenched a black handkerchief and asked, if you've changed so much, why did you act like a fool when mother was dying? Do you know how much pain she was in when you weren't by her side? Chris didn't understand that memory, it wasn't his. He sat down next to them and whispered, I didn't understand back then. Time passed. The scene shifted to the main family estate. The candidates for the dark sacred ritual had arrived by carriage. Chris complained, sigh, I need to stretch. How far did we travel for my whole body to itch like this? Couldn't they open a teleportation gate? I can't believe they're so petty. He gritted his teeth before Mary interjected. Young master, a date with just the two of us, okay. Chris's eyes widened. My heart is racing. But you don't even have a heart. He observed the carriages in the courtyard, thinking, the main family allows one companion, so he chose Mary, who was bound by a contract. He noticed some people staring and whispering at him. Mary covered her mouth. Whoa, the young master is famous. Simon appeared, greeting him. Hello, young master. It's only been half a month, yet you've improved so much. Doesn't the patriarch's secretary have anything better to do? Chris fanned himself. Simon dropped his playful demeanor. I came on the patriarch's orders. He wants to see you. You're not surprised, are you? You predicted it. He winked mischievously, which infuriated Chris. No, I'm very surprised. Setting that aside, Simon led Chris to meet the patriarch. I have brought the young master, Simon announced. The patriarch turned. Good. It's been a long time. The moment Chris met the old man's gaze, he was hit with an immense pressure. He thought, this overwhelming presence. I can barely stand. Emitting dark energy like this, someone like me can't possibly endure it. His whole body trembled. He clenched his fists to calm himself and replied, Greetings, Duke Barent, the great lord of the black magic family. You're not surprised by this sudden meeting? Barent asked. I guessed you would call for me, Chris said confidently. A new star has appeared in the family. The confident words made Barent laugh. Haha, that's right. Both Marion and Simon couldn't stop praising you, but I'm not sure what to expect from you. Though you are a great seed, only time will tell how you will grow. You might just be a sprout that falls as soon as it emerges from the ground. His words carried a hint of contempt, but Chris wasn't angry. He nodded. You are right. I am still too lacking to be worthy of your expectations. But the future is not set, is it? Only time will tell if a sprout will surpass expectations to become a great tree, or an anomaly that casts a shadow over even the greatest trees. I will not disappoint you. Chris's words were full of hidden meaning. Barent seemed not to want to hear more. He waved his hand. I will have high expectations for you. You may go now. When Chris left the room, Marion turned to her father. What do you think of him, father? He far exceeds my expectations, Barent said bluntly. But with great talent comes a more arduous fate. You know that, don't you? The winds of blood are blowing towards the magic empire. But today, this small ray of hope, that child might be able to fulfill the dream I've cherished for so long. His eyes showed anticipation. Time passed quickly. The scene shifted to the night before the dark sacred ritual. The main family held a welcoming banquet. At the entrance, two servants announced loudly, the firstborn of Count Kaza has arrived, Chris Barent Kaza. Chris walked confidently into the grand hall. His appearance annoyed some people. Why did the patriarch meet with a fool like him? They whispered. Who knows? He looks like a bootlicker. Chris wasn't deaf, he heard the jeers clearly. He thought to himself, as expected, I'm too handsome. It's tough being this good looking. Seeing a servant carrying wine, he was interested. Hey, is that wine? He reached for it, but the girl refused. Young master, you're not old enough. Have some ginger ale. She poured him a glass. Chris screamed internally, damn it, you tasteless demons. I don't want ginger ale. Suddenly, a shout echoed, drawing everyone's attention. The young lords and ladies have arrived. All eyes turned to the entrance. 4 people walked in. First was the second young lord, Hijabaran, the handsome young man who had tormented Chris since childhood. Next were the first princess, Julian Jabaran, the second princess, Jupil Jabaran, and the third young lord, Isaac Jabaran. Chris was relieved. The mad first prince isn't here. He thought, kid, what should I say? The victim of your little games, the one who tarnished your reputation. But kid walked past as if he didn't exist. Chris was furious, cursing him internally. That bastard. After all that, he doesn't even dare to look me in the eye. I must be like an ant at him. Julian approached, curtsied, and greeted him. Chris remembered Marion's warning, be careful of the first princess. But looking closely, he saw nothing unusual. I'll figure it out later. That's enough reconnaissance for today. It's time to prepare for the ritual. As he turned, a butler cleared his throat. Greetings, young Master Chris. I am Fair, a summoner who works for young Lord Leon. So what? Chris said, annoyed. Fair replied, I heard an unworthy person will be participating in the dark sacred ritual tomorrow. I worry that someone with insufficient ability might cause an accident and tarnish the reputation of the black magic family. Chris understood. You're saying I'm not capable, right? You just need to prove otherwise, Fair replied. Chris looked up to the second floor, where Leon was standing, and cursed silently. If you have a problem, calm down yourself. But I'll say it straight during the ritual. He threw his glass aside. Fine, proving it is no big deal. Now show me your cheap tricks. What? Right here. Fair was flustered. You don't even have a weapon. Chris waved his hand. You expect me to use a weapon against you? Fair roared in anger. You will regret this. Chris smirked. I think you're the one who will regret it. The confrontation attracted the gazes of Julian and Jupil from afar. Time passed quickly. The guests on all 4 sides turned pale at the sight before them. Old Fair was being mercilessly beaten by several ghosts, able to do nothing but shield his head. In another corner, Chris was being served by 3 ghosts like an emperor. What did I just see? Everyone wondered. The summoner started with evil spirits, but with just a wave of Chris's hand, they turned on their own master. How did he gain control so quickly? After enjoying being served, Chris stood up and looked towards Leon. Was that young Lord Leon's will just now? The direct heir of the black magic family, is this pathetic? If you have a complaint, challenge me openly. The words made Leon's face flush with shame. He quickly denied it. This has nothing to do with me. Even a fool wouldn't believe that, Chris cheered. But I'll believe you this time. See you in the dark sacred ritual. He turned and left, hiding his angry face, thinking, you coward. Next time, I'll teach you some manners. The day of the dark sacred ritual arrived, and the contestants gathered. Chris yawned, bored. Hey, aren't you worried at all? Lo asked, surprised. You caused a commotion yesterday too. Chris turned in surprise. Why are you here? I warned you. How dare I postpone the ritual because of a brat like you? You madman. Lo retorted. At the same time, Leon walked up. His presence ignited Chris's anger. He tried to restrain himself from punching him in the face. The officiator appeared. Is everyone here? I am Sebastian, the Daguki butler of the main building. I will now lead you to the sacred grounds of the dark sacred ritual. He struck his staff on the floor, and the hall trembled, revealing a secret passage underground. It's underground. The candidates exclaimed. Alo was in awe. Praise, with his experience, felt something different. No, this is illusion magic creating an imaginary space. Sebastian, unbothered by their surprise, walked quickly down the stairs. Despite his short stature, he moved surprisingly fast. The group panicked and ran after him. Hurry up, he's leaving us behind. They struggled to keep up, and the further they went, the harder it became. Before they even reached the sacred grounds, they were exhausted, drenched in sweat. This is weird. Aren't we going underground? Why is it so steep? Sebastian, seeing the contestants fall behind, turned. Hurry up. The ground won't hold forever. As soon as he spoke, the ground shook, throwing 2 candidates off. The rest were terrified. We're late, Sebastian continued. I'm speeding up now. He shot forward like a machine. A moment later, 2 more were thrown off. The losers can't keep up. Leon fought smugly. Worthless insects. But he was stunned to see Chris running alongside him comfortably, without a single drop of sweat. Why isn't he sweating? Chris felt Leon's gaze and tease. Have you tried your best yet? Turns out you're all talk, no action. A direct hair should be better than this. Didn't they feed you enough supplements? He silently mocked the other candidates. These fools. Their ignorance only makes their bodies suffer. Running at full speed in an illusionary space is a waste of energy. No matter how hard I try, my stamina won't deplete. I just need to reverse the spell, and I'm invincible here. Sebastian noticed Chris's ease. Oh ho, that must be Master Chris. Time passed. The group arrived at the sacred grounds. Except for Chris, the other 3 were nearly dead from exhaustion. How are you not affected at all? Olo couldn't help but ask. Chris didn't explain the trick, only chided. This is why you need to train your body more. Don't just ride magical beasts everywhere. A pale man who looked like he was about to die stepped forward. Welcome, everyone. This is the sacred ground where pure dark energy erupts ceaselessly. We call it the Holy Chamber. I am Ryu, the manager of the sacred grounds. Greetings, young masters and ladies. Today, you must seize the great pure dark, like the 3rd-ranked Demon King, the destroyer of darkness, the progenitor of the black magic family. Ryu waved his hand, creating 4 streams of white energy that flowed towards 4 doors. However, the amount is not enough to share. The magical beasts inside will test your qualifications. Chris raised his hand excitedly. So you're saying it all depends on who gets there first, right? Ryu looked at him with admiration. That's right. As expected, you are intelligent, young Master Chris. Someone spoke up. If an accident happens between contestants during the ritual, will we be disqualified? Each of you will take a different path, so you shouldn't encounter each other, Ryu replied. But in the rare event that you do, avoid conflict. Wasting time will only give others an advantage. Focus on your own safety. Good luck. Immediately, the 4 candidates charged towards the doors. Seeing their haste, Sebastian was amused. Want to bet some blood crystals on who before he could finish? Ryu disappeared, leaving him to stomp his foot in frustration. Ignoring me like that. So cold. The scene shifted to Leon. In a corridor, he encountered a 4-eyed black dog breathing fire. Upon spotting Leon, it barked wildly, spewing flames. Leon focused dark energy into his palm, accelerated, and delivered a powerful punch to the beast's jaw. It coughed up blood and collapsed in pain, easily defeated. At most, it's a low-level grade 2 magical beast, Leon thought confidently. For me, a high-level grade 2, they are nothing. That bastard Chris must be struggling. Each path had the same distance and challenges. But I bribed a mage to make Chris's path have stronger magical beasts. He'll encounter some ferocious ones and die a miserable death. A death in the dark sacred ritual will be ignored. This is your grave. Not long after, Leon arrived before a large door. This is it, the entrance to the sacred grounds. I'm surely the first one. He was smug, but Chris's voice sounded from beside him. You're too slow. What took you so long? I thought I was going to die of boredom waiting. How did you get here so fast? Leon panicked. Chris scratched his head. It wasn't that hard. Impossible. Your path was supposed to have stronger magical beasts. After saying it, he realized his mistake, and fell silent. But Chris had heard him clearly and smiled grimly. I see. No wonder they felt stronger than usual. It was your doing. He cracked his knuckles, preparing to beat Leon. Leon also wanted to fight. What did you just say? Who do you think you are? Come on, Chris provoked. It's just the 2 of us here. No need to be polite. Leon clenched his fists, enveloping them in dark energy, and roared, You arrogant fool. Flashing between contestants is forbidden, but I'll crush you right now. He charged, throwing a right hook. Chris leaned back slightly to dodge, recognizing the technique. Magic combat arts. Increases magical power in close quarters or breaks an opponent's joints. Leon punched relentlessly like a machine, but couldn't hit Chris. You annoying little rat. He fumed. Leon lunged again, aiming to break Chris's left arm, but it was a trap Chris had intentionally exposed. You fool, he taunted, using his right hand to grab Leon's wrist and twist it backward. Don't cry if it hurts, Chris warned, applying pressure that made Leon scream in pain. Soon, an exhausted Olo ran up. Hey, am I late? He was stunned to see the other 2 contestants beaten to a pulp by Chris. Did you do this? You're too slow, Chris chided. Are you going to pass out on your own? Or do I have to knock you out? Allo wasn't a coward. He activated his magic for battle. I won't just sit here. Bring it on. But with just a few simple moves, Chris punched him to the ground. Oh, a familiar feeling. They will come to take them away. If I leave them here for another 5 years, the first great war against the Alliance will break out. I must take control of the Black Magic family before then. Therefore, I can't share a single bit of holy darkness with you. Cleaning up is done. Now it's time to claim the holy dark. With this thought, Chris slowly opened the large door in front of him. The dark sacred ritual grants power to demons, the ability to become truly transcendent. The Patriarch, who absorbed 80 of the holy dark energy, is one of the strongest beings alive, even among demon kings. The Destroyer of Darkness absorbed 90 of the pure dark energy to become a demon king. This means if it claimed 100, I can surpass even the Magic Emperor. Chris thought, reaching his hand towards the sphere of dark energy in front of him. As he touched it, a terrifying surge of energy flooded into his body like a torrent. Time passed quickly. The scene shifted to a meeting room. They were discussing how all the candidates of the dark sacred ritual had been eliminated. Unbelievable. Except for Chris, everyone was eliminated. What a disaster, a brown-haired man said. Young Lord Leon is in critical condition. He probably used some forbidden magic tool, a gray-haired man added. We must investigate thoroughly and punish him. But the second princess, Shaquille, raised her hand to stop them. That's unnecessary. That bastard can't enter the sacred grounds. He hasn't left for 2 days. He must have been crushed to death by the dark sacred ritual. Even the Patriarch has a limit to how much he can absorb. He's dead. There won't even be a body left. She stood up and left, her face filled with a murderous intent her subordinates didn't see. Even if he survives, I will kill him myself, Julian thought. When my father died in the battle against the Alliance, Leon and I were adopted by Viscount Lenham. My position in the clan is not stable. Without Leon receiving the holy dar, no one will support his succession. Press, I will repay this humiliation. She gritted her teeth. In another corner, some servants were gossiping about Krez. That useless oaf still hasn't come out. A young maid asked. The one opposite her waved her hand and left. He's definitely dead. That's the punishment for his greed and not knowing his place. Look, she's still waiting for her master, but she'll soon be meeting his ghost. As soon as she spoke, the bag on her back was pierced by a blast of energy. Mary stepped forward angrily. My heart trembles while waiting for the young master, but if you keep making noise around me, you'll become ghosts at my hand. Understand? Her face was fierce, and the two maids ran away in terror. Please come back, Mary thought, worried. A man who makes a lady wait like this isn't cool at all. The scene shifted to Kreis, floating in a purple space, a heavy pressure crushing the air out of him. Am I only at 70? This is harder than I thought. I can't give up. I have to endure. The real challenge starts at 90. If I exceed my limits, my core will shatter. I'll die before the war even begins. Suddenly, he remembered. That's right, the dragon heart. The dragon clan possesses the largest container for a power core. If it can simulate a dragon's heart for a few minutes, I can withstand this. Thinking this, Chris directed magic to his heart, simulating a dragon heart. But before he could absorb much more, a crack appeared in his heart. He cried out in pain and quickly sobbed. I can't. This is my limit. A voice rang out. Do you need help? A giant female figure appeared. Mafina. Chris exclaimed. Why is a demon here? A demon's power is to communicate with darkness. This wouldn't be difficult for her. Mafina laughed. I can help you, without any conditions. Wait. Chris asked. She smiled brightly. Just a passing whim. Come, take my hand. To absorb all the holy dark, she extended her hand towards him. A week later, the Patriarch, Baron, was enjoying tea. Still no news, he asked Simon. It's hard to say if he survived. His voice was disappointed. Insatiable greed. Chris is out. Marianne chided. Why did he take such a gamble? Viscount Lenham, who is temporarily in charge, agrees with you, Sir, Simon added. He wants to close the entrance to the sacred grounds early. Shall I give the order? Baron pondered for a few seconds. The mischievous brat wants to test this old man. Blood drinker, do you think that reckless child is still alive? Simon shrugged. The chances are near zero, but wasn't he interesting? Baron sighed and ordered, tell him to keep it open for one more day. As you wish, Simon smiled. Marianne breathed a sigh of relief internally. Chris's energy core was being flooded by pure dark energy. As a result, his heart was in agony, and his core could explode at any moment. Athena told him to take her hand before it was too late. Instead of accepting her help, he stubbornly refused. Hearing this, she called him extremely foolish, saying he should know that humans have limits they are not allowed to cross. Hearing that, our Chris got angry, saying that she seemed to have forgotten something, because they were in a world full of concepts. Pris's next action shocked her as he began to glow. His hair turned gray, and his eyes turned crimson. Pris grew red horns and transformed into a demon. His action of demonization amazed her. To be honest, he looked really cool. This technique was the ultimate secret of a mysterious clan. It was a forbidden spell where a human temporarily transforms into a demon to release explosive power. Though powerful, it was fatal to the user. In the past, Rena had died after using this spell. Perhaps the Fox Girl had taught Chris all the information about the demon clans. If he removed the parts of the spell that amplified dark energy, he could take advantage of the dark energy of this world and create a vessel to collect the energy without any penalty. As he created the vessel, the dark energy began to gather slowly and steadily. Since this plan was a success, with the vessel, he could collect energy with a purity above 90, and take all of the sacred darkness. Athena couldn't believe it when Chris created a black crescent moon. It was impossible for a mere human, like an insect, to overcome the human limit, as she had said. He confidently declared that it was because he was a genius. As he left the space, he told her she could continue to live there, but he was leaving. As he left, she said she would see him again another time. Hearing that, Chris turned back, and just before the portal closed, he gave her the middle finger and told her to get lost. She was silent for a moment, then realized what he meant and burst out laughing. Chris emerged, cursing her, saying he would go crazy if he saw her again, calling her a noisy demon. Chris wondered how much time had passed. He guessed it had been about a week, so his family must be in chaos. He undid his demonization and said it was time for a prank. After some time, a butler burst into the Lord's office, reporting that Chris had returned. Hearing this, everyone in the room was shocked, asking how he was still alive. The temporary leader, Viscount Lenim, told his subordinate to give the details. He said Chris had survived but was on his last breath, and extremely exhausted. According to the healer, he could feel pure dark energy, but it was so chaotic that it would be difficult to use this energy. One man cursed Chris, saying nothing could be expected from someone like him, and there was no way he could have absorbed more than 80 of the sacred darkness. The energy was wasted because of him, and a fat man told the Lord that Chris must be held responsible. With a cold face, he said he would keep it in mind and told them to leave as the meeting was over. After they left, he asked someone if the report was true. This person said he had observed Chris beside the healer, and it was clear his energy core had problems. Hearing this, he continued tapping his fingers on the table, making the old man nervous. With an even colder expression, he said that Leon needed to become a young lord, a sacrifice, and a key to their plan with the Poison Magic clan. The insane Viscount Lenim said that the plan to destroy something called Jupiel had been postponed. As for Chris, it was worrying that his father was paying attention to him. Because of him, the flow of the river was disturbed. Hearing this, the man was silent as if he needed to use the restroom. After a few annoying taps on the table, he ordered Chris to be brought to the Hall of Shadows the next day. He would announce his punishment before the vassals. The next day, when summoned, Chris thought they were trying to get rid of him for gathering all the important people. Viscount Lenim asked Chris if he was aware of his sins during the sacred ritual. Chris said he knew, while the leader, seeing his distorted energy core, asked for an explanation. Chris said that his peers were not worthy of their lineage, so he should have hit them harder. Hearing this, an ugly woman in a suit got angry. Viscount Lenim explained that Chris's mistake was that despite monopolizing the precious resources of the Dark Magic clan, he had not achieved results worthy of that privilege. Chris asked on what criteria he based this conclusion. He said the minimum purity was 70. Chris asked what his punishment would be if it was below 70. A fish-faced man said that he would not be allowed to inherit any dark magic techniques, be banned from the main family's territory, and be denied the right of succession to the House of Kaza. Chris, acting unconcerned, asked how he would measure it when he himself couldn't measure it accurately. At that moment, the old man raised his hand, saying that although Chris's core was chaotic, a clash of dark energy could measure the purity since he had absorbed 70 of the sacred darkness. If he could overwhelm him, it would mean he had achieved a greater feat. A clash of dark energy was a pure battle to measure the superiority of dark energy between two people. With the same amount of energy, the one with higher purity would immediately overwhelm the other. But when pure energies of the same level clash, the one with higher purity wins. According to Krez, this was the perfect way to destroy his core. He thought this guy was more sinister than he imagined. Before they began, Chris set a condition: if he achieved a great enough result, they had to support him and allow him to challenge for the position of a young lord. Hearing this, some were shocked, but his terrible brother agreed, saying it didn't matter if one was from the main or branch family when aiming for the young lord's seat. When the others were silent, he said that was the way of the magic empire, where the strong ruled the weak. On stage, he told Chris that in a clash of dark energy, if not controlled enough, the core could be damaged. To be on the same level, he would only use beginner level 2 start dark energy. As they released their energy, Chris told him he didn't need to do that and should worry about his own precious core. As he released his energy, the terrible man said hearing him speak made him look forward to it. When they clashed, Chris immediately overwhelmed his 2-star energy. The man was shocked, because his energy was neutralized without Chris even needing to gather power. He used expert level 2-star energy, but the result was the same. Chris, seeing this performance, said it was disappointing. He provoked him further, saying he acted so arrogant but was so weak. Angered, he released his aura. The others said it was 4-star dark energy. If it hit, it would shatter Chris's core. A dragon-shaped energy appeared around him, but from the other side, another energy formed a giant claw big enough to crush the dragon, so large the dragon looked like an ant. Chris told the man that in an energy clash, if not controlled enough, the core could be damaged, so he should be careful. The energy damaged his core, causing him to vomit blood. Chris retracted his energy, thinking it wasn't enough and he should have shattered his core. Being smart, he announced to everyone that Chris had a purity of at least 90. Hearing this, everyone was shocked and turned to the Lord, saying he now had the right to become a young lord. Hearing that, Viscount Lenham was shocked, showing no reaction on his ugly face. As usual, the ugly bastard continued tapping his fingers on the table, and then told Chris that as promised, he would be allowed to take the young lord test. However, no member of a branch family had ever taken this test. As the temporary head, he would randomly choose a test for him. Chris thought to himself that he meant he would give him an impossible test. His qualifications would be judged in 2 stages. First, he had to prove his talent. Next, he needed to achieve a feat worthy of a young lord's position. Chris asked how he would prove his talent, and the terrible man demanded he reach the 3-star level in 3 months. Chris calmly said that if that was all, he was a genius, so it wouldn't be too hard. The other guy was silent, then said he looked forward to seeing what he would achieve in 3 months. Afterward, in a quiet room, the 2 terrible men sat opposite each other. Sipping tea, he expressed his disappointment in Kid, saying it was all his fault for underestimating Chris. Because of that, even his energy core was damaged. They had to deal with Chris quickly before he became a problem. He told his subordinate not to worry, because they had intentionally not absorbed more than 70 of the pure dark energy. The higher the purity, the harder it is to upgrade one's energy. This difficulty increases exponentially, meaning reaching the 3-star level would take many times longer than for others. He asked the other guy what he thought, since Chris had absorbed 90. Even if he was a genius, he couldn't overcome that wall. Shifting to cries, Mary brought him food, saying the news of his performance had spread throughout the mansion. She said he made her proud and her heart pounded for him. Chris said that was embarrassing. Mary said that while waiting for Chris, she realized her true feelings. Each day of waiting for him felt like an eternity. Hearing this, Chris remembered his past memories. The fox girl worried for him, while the saintess said that with his agility, it was impossible for him to get hurt. Rian told him to give her his hand. Hearing that, the fox girl said she could just be direct and say she was worried about him. Hearing that, she shyly said that even heroes worry. Remembering all this, he happily thought that after escaping from the brink of hell, she just wanted him dead. His whole life was filled with blood until he met people with warm hearts. As Mary prepared blood juice, Chris said he could now say the words he couldn't before. Thank you, Mary, for waiting for me. Hearing this, she shyly said that he finally understood her true feelings. She acted as if her heart was beating fast. Chris said she didn't have a heart. She cheesily said her heart had been stolen. Chris said that since she had waited for him, he would reward her. He offered to go for a walk with her. Hearing this, she went crazy, dressing up extravagantly for the walk. What a work of art. She should get a real body soon. Chris thought that relaxing once in a while was good, but he still had to reach 3 stars in 3 months. He thought it would be very difficult, even with guidance from a branch family tutor. Handling over 90 darkness alone was still very hard. Just then, a voice interjected, telling him he only caused trouble. Turning around, it was Chris's aunt. He greeted her. She asked if this was the time for him to be casually walking in the garden. She asked if he had found a teacher. He asked if it was her, but was disappointed when she said no. She shocked him by saying it was someone else. He told Mary to go, saying he would see her at dinner. As they went down the stairs, Chris said he didn't know who the teacher was, but thanked his aunt for thinking of her nephew. She told him not to thank her yet, explaining that he would experience it for himself and that this teacher was not gentle at all. She added that none of her siblings could endure his training. She warned that this opportunity didn't come often, so he shouldn't disappoint him. When they arrived, Chris was shocked and asked if the child in front of him was lost. Why would a 200 or 300-year-old person disguise themselves as a child? Seeing the child, Chris patted its head and asked where its parents were. But the child's expression was scarier than he thought. Just then, his aunt told him to show respect and greet him first, as this was the incarnation of the patriarch. Observing Chris, he greeted him formally. When dark energy radiated from him, he was shocked to see Chris had absorbed over 90. He said he had achieved something great, but should know it was a foolish decision, and Chris objected. The old man in disguise said that with 80 secret darkness, he had faced walls higher than others. He shared that even their ancestors couldn't reach that level without the grace of the demon emperor. He couldn't imagine the walls Chris would face. Therefore, he offered to return a portion of Chris's dark energy into ether. He said with his talent, 80 dark energy was enough, and exceeding that was greedy. Before he could finish, Chris asked why the Black Magic clan had weakened. The question startled his aunt until he spoke bluntly. He said although they were not on par with the Mystic Magic or Immortal Magic clans, known as the Heavens Above Heavens, they were still the weakest of the 12 noble families. The old man asked if there was a reason for this. Chris said the Black Magic clan had grown far beyond the success of previous generations thanks to the patriarch's achievements. However, other powers said the Black Magic clan was not what it used to be. He said there was only one reason: they lacked individuals at the absolute level, above 8 or 9-star power. Hearing this, the old man was silent. In the future, when the slaughtering Demon King attacked the Black Magic clan, Nodin had died, leaving only a few 7-star demons and 10-0 soldiers to fight the Demon King. In the end, they were defeated and forced into slavery. That's why absolute level characters of 8 stars and above were so important. The patriarch was surely worried about this. The old man agreed, saying he understood well but was worried Chris would be crushed by the pure dark energy and unable to grow. Chris asked if he was curious whether, with this power, he would just stop at strengthening the family or overcome the challenges to become a being of infinite power, ruling over all. The old man laughed, saying Chris had a way with words. He said he wouldn't regret it as dark energy gathered at his feet. In a few seconds, he was submerged in a pool of energy. Waking up, he found himself in a forest. A voice told him his first mission was to inherit the pure dark energy. Chris was confused when told he had to survive. Behind him, a hungry 2-headed bear appeared. Realizing its presence, Chris knew he was in big trouble. Through an orb, his aunt observed, realizing it was a test, and asked the patriarch why he threw a 2-star child into a 4-star magic den. Hearing this, he summoned another stone lizard. The aunt apologized to her nephew, as her words had made things harder. The old man said that as Chris struggled to survive, he would face the true nature of pure dark energy. Understanding comes quickest and deepest when pushed to the brink of death. He hoped he wouldn't get seriously injured. Sitting on a chair, he asked Marian if she was ready. She was, with a box full of candy. He gobbled it down, saying he didn't know why he craved sweets every time he used dark energy. The crazy man turned on a light, saying watching videos in the dark was the best. He was excited to see his nephew's results. Chris faced the 2-headed bear and the stone lizard. Just one hit could finish him. The lizard spat poison, which Chris dodged. The poison melted the trees in an instant. Even so, this was just a training exercise. Chris called out to the patriarch, asking if he was listening. He said there was no way the patriarch would give an exercise without an answer. Since there was no answer, Chris said to get one, he had to defeat a monster much stronger than himself. His aunt thought to herself that he just wanted to see him get beaten up. Chris confidently said it would be a piece of cake as he prepared to take them down in one hit. At this moment, the bear was attacking towards Chris. As the attack was about to hit, Chris thought its speed and strength were too great. As he dodged, Chris told himself there must be a way to defeat them. Observing from the orb, the old man in disguise said Chris was truly talented, explaining that Chris's movements were different. But Marian said Chris was still just a child. They were shocked to see Chris had taken down the bear, completely surprising them. Switching to them, Chris was lost with them, asking Chris how he took it down so easily. Chris explained that the bear had high strength and defense but low agility and magic resistance. FedEx to Pat. Chris exploited its weakness, injecting dark energy into its heart at the right moment. Marian was shocked by the technique Chris used, but before she could finish, the red-haired man appeared and said Chris used dark subjugation. He told the child that it was his favorite technique. Switching to Chris, after taking down the bear, Chris realized he hadn't dealt with the lizard yet. It didn't give Chris a break, attacking immediately. Chris dodged easily, but because it had two heads, the other head spat poison, and Chris barely avoided it. The lizard had 3 hearts. If all 3 weren't destroyed at once, it would regenerate. Chris tried another way, using dark energy as a rope to bind the lizard, locking its movements, then using extreme force. The entire monster was destroyed as its 3 cores shattered. The red-haired man said Chris used an applied version of dark annihilation. The old man in disguise said he couldn't see clearly and told him to move aside. He got mad and asked Marian if she had taught Chris, but she immediately denied it, saying she knew nothing. He said it wasn't something that could be learned, but the red-haired man said, if that was the case, there was no need to learn dark magic. The patriarch was silent. After dealing with them, Chris was transported back to reality. With a fox-like smile, Chris said he had to think a lot, but it was a great lesson. Thank you, patriarch. As Marian and the red-haired man were silent, Chris arrogantly said that was not allowed, but he would start his full-scale dark magic training. Chris told the terrible people to get out, and they obeyed. As they left, Marian was worried because this child might be too harsh on Chris. He asked, before the first magic transmission, what Chris thought of dark magic. Chris bluntly said it was to overwhelm the opponent with perfect dark energy. He asked Chris what perfect dark energy was. Chris was worried, because he had no answer. He told Chris to watch closely as he opened a kind of lock. The next second, the whole place shook. He said this was the source of all darkness, as the place was surrounded by dark energy. If one went down the deep stairs, 12 abysses awaited, and one had to devour the Lord in the darkness. Before his hands, energy gathered, forming a dagger from pure energy. The old man swung the dagger, and Chris felt the blows symbolize death. A single strike could kill him. The space behind him shattered. Chris had trouble breathing as he clearly felt the blade cut his neck. He explained it was the sword of concept, which only cuts what it wants. As the sword disappeared, he prepared to leave, saying he would give him 1 month to sharpen the black sword he had just seen. He left without saying how, leaving him confused. Early in the morning, Chris was around the training area, then continued doing one-handed push-ups. Due to the harsh training, Chris was sweating and took off his shirt. Chris's back looked much more muscular, but that was just a dream, as Chris was still as skinny as a baby doll. After that, he sat in meditation, telling himself he had to get back to training. Pure dark energy gathered around his hand, forming a dagger, but it failed miserably. Chris was not satisfied as he had lost count of his failures. Even when he could summon it, it only lasted for a maximum of 10 seconds. Moreover, it was nothing compared to the Patriarch's black sword. That sword was stronger and more primordial. He had once said, climb down the deep stairs, 12 abysses await you. A seeker of wisdom, accept and praise it. Chris thought that incantation must hold a secret. A month later, the duo of Marian and the old man in disguise went down. He said by now Chris must have failed enough to realize his limits. He asked Marian if she was worried. Marian said there must be a faster way as there were only about 2 months left until the succession test. The old man in disguise said that with the purity of the dark magic Chris had absorbed, rapid growth was impossible. If he forced his progress, Chris would only hit a huge wall. So it was better to build a solid foundation. When they arrived, facing Chris, he was extremely surprised because he had summoned the dagger. Chris said, "It's about time you showed up." They were shocked. Chris thanked the patriarch, saying that thanks to him, Chris had reached the 3-star level faster than expected. Before he could finish, the sword disappeared. Chris said as he saw, pretending was the best he could do for now. It took Chris about a week to summon the black sword, but it felt like an empty shell. The mysterious incantation he had shared earlier, the 12 abysses, meant the black sword had to contain all the attributes of magic. Hearing this, the old man was stunned, because that was the true black sword. Not only did Chris exceed expectations, but he also understood the full meaning of the mission. According to the patriarch, it usually took a year to summon the basic black sword, and a lifetime was not enough to understand the 12 types of magic and awaken the true black sword. Yet Chris did it in less than a month. Chris could truly be the only hope at the end of the cursed demon's path. The emotionless man smiled and told him to get ready. From tomorrow, the lessons they teach will not be easy. Instead of being worried, Chris confidently said it was fine, and that he trusted the patriarch. Having cleared the first hurdle, Chris made a mischievous face. Thinking of raising a glass to celebrate, Chris went to the wine cellar and danced wildly. Chris thought he deserved a break, drinking expensive wine he couldn't have dreamed of before. Chris thought he should drink quickly before Mary came and took it away. Someone called him, and turning around, he saw a beautiful face saying Chris was drinking in broad daylight as usual. Chris wondered who this 3-star demon was. Based on her eye color, she wasn't from the black magic family. With a serious face, Chris asked if she knew him. Hearing this, she was shocked, and her servant was also surprised. She asked what Chris meant, and then got furious, slapping Chris with her magic. Chris fell, and her servant told her to ignore it, not to bother with trash like Chris. As she turned to leave, the old man from the exam appeared, holding a bottle of wine. Chris angrily said, "You're rude," and asked who she was. He said she was Princess Marcia of the Poison Clan. Hearing this, Chris froze, because she could be his fiancée, or more accurately, his ex-fiancée. Chris was in big trouble after this as he might have caused a problem. Switching to Marcia, as she walked through the corridor, her anger was visible on her face. In a flashback, an 8-year-old Marcia was playing with ants. Marcia thought to herself that everyone only talked to her brother, so she didn't understand why her father had brought her to the Black Magic Clan. As Marcia focused on the ants, some busybodies whispered that she was an illegitimate child. They said they didn't know if Duke Baron had lost his mind since his son was useless. They thought he wanted to marry off his daughter to get a son-in-law. Sensing a presence, Marcia looked up and saw Chris. Chris asked what a child was doing here alone. The first time she saw him, Marcia was captivated. It seemed our Chris was quite handsome. Marcia said she wasn't a child but Marcia. Hearing this, Chris said her name, and then introduced himself. Marcia realized he was Count Kaz's son. Chris told her not to mind the adult's words, and advised her to retaliate when she grew up. Initially surprised, Marcia then said she would become the strongest demon, and crush those who looked down on her. This initially made Chris embarrassed and blush, saying, "Marcia has ambitions." Marcia was shocked to see the spirit of a true Black Magic Clan demon. Chris stood up and said, if Marcia is going to be the strongest, Chris should be on her side. Chris extended his hand, calling her the future strongest demon queen, and asked if she would grant him the honor of showing her around the Black Magic Clan's mansion. Hearing this, Marcia's face turned red. Back in the present, Marcia tried to forget this, saying it was all in the past. Although the engagement was arranged for peace between the two families, the future she had dreamed of and lost sleep over had vanished. That version of her was gone when rumors of Chris's bad behavior reached her, making her cry. A second later, Marcia arrived at the Patriarch's office. Duke Baron welcomed her, and asked the purpose of her visit. Marcia said the Duke must know a holy relic had appeared in the neutral zone between their two families. Duke Baron asked what the Poison Clan intended to do, as they had taken the relic last time. Duke Baron asked if she would concede this time, but Marcia said she couldn't. Marcia asked if Duke Baron would do the same in her position. With some courtesy, Duke Baron said Marcia wanted a fair competition. Marcia said each family would send a team, and whoever found the relic first would keep it. But the team would be limited to 10 demons of 3 stars, or below to avoid direct conflict. Marcia cleverly said that if they suffered heavy losses, only their enemies would benefit, especially in the unstable situation in the Four Kings domain. Duke Baron tapped the table and said he accepted the condition. Marcia, being smart, should have been suspicious of why Duke Baron agreed so easily. Duke Baron added a condition: if the Poison Clan broke the agreement, the Black Magic Clan would take not only this relic, but also the previous one. Marcia asked for an explanation, and Duke Baron talked about using tricks or ambushes because traps and ambushes were Marcia's specialty. With a serious look, Marcia said that wouldn't happen and accepted the additional condition. Duke Baron asked if Marcia would personally lead the Poison Clan's expedition team. Marcia confirmed that was the plan. Duke Baron said he looked forward to seeing the power of the renowned myriad poisons. Marcia bid Duke Baron farewell, saying she would wait for the Black Magic Clan's team on the day of the expedition. As Marcia left, Duke Baron was silent for a few seconds, then stood up and stared at the chessboard. Marcia held the Black King and took the White Queen. As the Black King stood tall, the thin Duke Baron said that for Marcia, a beautiful stage full of screams had been set. 2 months passed, and the seasons had changed. While Chris focused on his training, many others also began to change their paths. Some conflicted over past love while losers in the competition were left behind. Meanwhile, the jealous sharpened their blades, and others began to act for the coming future. While a mysterious figure lurked, others acted for the future. Chris faced the useless Duke Baron and was asked to prove his worth. Seizing the opportunity, Chris summoned the Dark Sword. Seeing this, His brother's face darkened. Looking at their expressions, Chris thought it was a priceless moment. The old man in disguise had told him not to show the true black sword, or he would give him a harder tat. He had told him not to be arrogant just because he was a genius. Currently, Chris chuckled to himself, saying he had restrained himself, as advised, but looked forward to seeing their shocked faces later. Duke Barrett said he would recognize Chris's achievement and give him the second test. They were about to send demons to find a relic in the neutral zone. Since the Poison Clan was also participating, if he made a contribution, Duke Barrett would recognize him as an heir. Chris was surprised because it sounded too easy. Chris asked if he would do it alone. Duke Barrett said Chris would join a team led by the second princess, Julian. Duke Barrett said this mission was originally for Leon. With an arrogant look, Duke Barrett said this was an opportunity that exceeded Chris's status, so Chris should consider it an honor. Chris seriously said he would obey. As he left, Duke Barrett's brother asked his father if he was worried Chris would make another contribution. Duke Barrett stopped him, told him not to worry, that everything was going according to plan. Duke Barrett told him to be ready when the time came. Outside, Chris thought he had guessed he would be sent on a life-threatening mission. But Chris had a bad feeling. Recalling Duke Barrett's words, Chris wondered what had happened to Leon in the original timeline. Initially, the one chosen as the heir this time was not Chris, but Leon. But Chris had never heard of Leon in the Great War. In the past, Chris was forced by the fox girl to pet her continuously. If he stopped, she wouldn't say anything, so Chris had to comply. She told him about the demon charm incident, a relic conflict between the Black Magic and Poison clans. This event was little known. Although the Black Magic clan's team was wiped out during the relic expedition, the Poison clan also suffered losses, but both sides kept silent. Importantly, this event sowed the seeds of disaster. She said Noden died at the hands of Marquise Van Ham. If not for that, the slaughtering demon king would have had a hard time conquering the Black Magic clan so easily. The demon charm incident accelerated the era of destruction. The Black Magic clan's team was annihilated, meaning that instead of Leon, Chris was put on the death list. But without evidence, acting was too risky. Currently, Chris was only 3 stars and couldn't do much, so he needed to prepare and go out. Julian told Chris to wait, asking where he was going with that attitude. Chris asked why Julian cared where he went. Julian said she heard Chris was also joining the expedition team this time, replacing Leon. Julian didn't like it, but Chris said he didn't need to do anything right away. Julian insulted him, calling him a fool who couldn't do anything immediately. Hearing the insult about his brother, Julian threw a dagger with extreme speed. Chris saw the dagger's movement clearly, with grace. Chris dodged without blinking. Seeing the fluid movement, Julian was shocked. Chris said that was enough of a greeting. Chris said they didn't like each other, so it was better to stay away from each other. Not letting Julian speak, Chris said he had things to do. When Julian retrieved her dagger, she was angry because he had kept up with the movement with his eyes, but didn't dodge. Chris intentionally let Julian know. Julian thought Chris might be more dangerous than she imagined. Julian thought that since Chris had nothing to do, he was wandering around the city. Chris got a beer and drank it all at once. But before he could drink, the owner snatched the glass from his mouth. Then he went to a gambling table and won a lot of money. This poor wretch ran around with a bunch of meat skewers to the point that the child next to him got bored. Chris said, "It's been a long time since I got a break, and now I can live a lazy life." While continuing to devour the meat, Chris thought that the shop he was looking for must be nearby. But first, he needed tea to get rid of the pests following him. Chris found it annoying because they looked like people sent by that bastard. Suddenly, a mysterious figure grabbed him and told him to be quiet. Chris looked and saw a very beautiful girl. Chris asked who she was, but instead of answering, she said someone was following her, but her people had dealt with them. Chris wondered how that made him feel safe when she had gagged him and dragged him here. Chris asked again who she was, and she mentioned something like the 4 kings. Hearing this, Chris was shocked. She said she was trying to stop the unrest from spreading in the kingdom. They should move elsewhere, and she asked if Chris wanted to join her. Chris was silent for a moment, then told her to lead the way. As they went deeper into the alleys, Chris asked how far they were going. She continued, saying that demons in the king's kingdom were disappearing without a trace, and even safe areas in the city were gradually being destroyed. Chris must know that the kingdom was being torn apart by conflict between 3 families in a place dominated by power, and the family heads didn't care about the lives of ordinary demons. So, she concluded that to purge the criminal forces, they needed help from many families. But she couldn't expect help without something in return. She would provide information that could calm the storm in the Shadow Clan. She said that Marquis Van Ham was colluding with a high-ranking member of the Poison Clan, and their target was to assassinate Princess Marcia of the Poison Clan. Hearing this, Chris was shocked and worried because not only was he being targeted, but Marcia was too. Chris didn't understand why they would do that. If both families lost their core figures, the troublemakers and the kingdom would become even more audacious. Eventually, the balance between the 12 demon families would collapse, leading to a greater tragedy. So, she wanted to ask for help in preparing for this expedition. As she revealed her passionate face, she said she hoped to become the hero of the Shadow Clan and confront those who threatened peace. Chris was confused because she even knew about the Relic expedition and praised their intelligence network. With a serious face, Chris asked why he should trust her when she had no proof. If she wanted to cooperate, she had to bet something. She was stunned for a moment, but Chris deliberately told her to leave if she had no guarantee. She told him to wait and took something out of her cloak. Seeing it, Chris was shocked into silence. As Chris said goodbye, she also turned away, and a figure emerged from Chris's shadow. She told it why she couldn't reveal her true identity to Chris. A demon figure said it was for her own good. Because if Chris was in danger and revealed her information, things would get worse. As she began to transform, she said that for now, she would observe from the sidelines. She called herself a Duran. Back with Chris, he walked normally, then started laughing maniacally because she had given him a VIP card. The thing he was looking for. The Shadow Auction House, a secret way to trade relics and rare creatures. Only nobles or verified wealthy buyers were given access cards. In the past, no one in the hero's party had a card, so it was very difficult to get in. The card had the name Jutman on it, a name Chris had never heard. Chris recalled what had just happened, but felt it was too soon to trust her. So, Chris decided to prepare more for the expedition. Chris told a man that he wanted to send a carrier pigeon. The man told him to write a message and send it. Chris wrote something we couldn't read. Then a cute owl flew away as he watched. Chris told himself that this was done. Now Chris had to visit some guy because of his baby clothes. After a long journey, Chris arrived at a lavish place. The light from sparkling crystal chandeliers, like stars, reflected on the polished marble floor. The air exuded a noble aura that made his heart beat faster with a mix of awe and curiosity. As he stopped before the massive gate, a tall man in a sleek black suit stepped out to block his way. He looked Chris up and down, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Now, kid. This isn't a place for you. Get lost. Chris, his face hidden behind a mysterious mask, was unfazed. He slowly raised his hand, revealing a gleaming VIP card under the light, his voice cold but confident. How about this? The card shone like a declaration of power. The man opposite him immediately paled, his eyes wide with astonishment, stammering, This is. The arrogance from before vanished, replaced by a look of fear mixed with confusion. In an instant, his attitude did a 180-degree turn. He bowed low, his voice trembling but trying to be respectful. My sincerest apologies, said he. It turns out you are a VIP guest. Please, come in. Chris nodded in satisfaction, his sharp eyes as if they could see into the other's soul. Good, he replied curtly, walking through the gate with a nonchalant air. Inside, a magnificent scene unfolded before him like a palace from a legend. The walls were intricately carved, deep red velvet curtains hung long, and the air was filled with the scent of noble flowers. Guests in lavish attire, looking like aristocrats, were chatting animatedly, their eyes sparkling with confidence and power. Chris scanned the room, silently evaluating every detail in the luxurious space. Suddenly, an employee approached, his eyes hesitant, but polite. Greetings, sir, he bowed, his voice slightly faltering. Are you more? Depan. Chris, still wearing the mask, smiled mysteriously and raised the VIP card, nodding in confirmation. That's right. Today, I am Chiaduman. Is there a problem? The employee frowned slightly, his eyes scanning Chris as if looking for something unusual. He thought to himself, the voice is clearly a man's, but outwardly, he maintained a professional smile. To her. Chris immediately cut him off, his voice sharp. Then can you take me to the branch manager? The employee was startled and stammered, Yes, sir. Chris frowned, his voice deepening with authority. Didn't you hear me? Take me to the branch manager now. Without daring to hesitate, the employee quickly led him to a private room. This room was no less luxurious, with exquisitely crafted furniture, from a carved bony table to chairs upholstered in deep red velvet. Chris looked around, murmuring to himself, as expected of the famous Rudolph Merchant Guild. Everything is high-end. The Rudolph Merchant Guild, one of the largest forces on par with the Dia Merchant Guild of the Alliance. Not only did they dominate legal trade, but they also controlled the black market, controlling almost the entire distribution network of the Magic Empire. What Rudolph didn't have, no one else could get. Chris thought to himself, a confident smile on his lips. A few minutes later, the door opened, and a woman entered, her demeanor authoritative yet charming. Her long, lustrous hair and sharp eyes seemed capable of seeing through any secret. She walked straight towards him, her voice soft but powerful. I apologize for keeping you waiting. I am Rubit, the branch manager here, and also the head of the Rudolph Merchant Guild. She sat down opposite him, her eyes scrutinizing. What can I do for you? Chris leisurely removed his mask, revealing his true face. He got straight to the point, his voice calm but cold. Bring Runa here. Rubit was momentarily stunned. Repeat that. What? Chris smirked, his eyes twinkling with mockery. You don't know Runa. She replied, trying to maintain her composure. I know her. The head of the Dia Merchant Guild, right? But even we can't bring the head of the Alliance's Merchant Guild here. Hearing this, Chris frowned slightly, his mocking smile widening. Oh, is that so? But she's already here. Rubit froze, her eyes showing clear confusion. I don't understand what you're talking about, she stammered, her hands clenching slightly. Chris looked straight at her, his voice slow and mysterious. It must be thanks to the power of a relic, right? A good disguise. Rubit's whole body trembled slightly, her teeth clenched, speechless. Chris continued, his tone light but sharp. Anyway, we'll be seeing each other a lot. For this cat, let's let it go, shall we? Immediately, a dazzling light emanated from Rubit. She slowly raised her hand and removed her mask, revealing her true face, a face both beautiful and proud. She looked at him, her voice trembling, but still trying to sound tough. How did you know? Chris just smiled mysteriously without answering. He remembered his past life when she had tricked him countless times. Of course, I paid her back 100 times over after that, he thought, a mischievous glint in his eyes. He spoke, his voice low and mocking, your disguise. The head of the Rudolph Merchant Guild using such a cheap relic. The effect on your equipment is terrible too. Rubit looked at the mask in her hand, murmuring, how can this be? He laughed smugly, covering his mouth as if to tease. Maybe your face is too big, so it couldn't cover everything. The girl pouted angrily. That's not it. Then she quickly regained her composure, her sharp eyes on Chris. And you're not the real Jia Diwen either. They've heard your name is quite famous in the Magic Empire lately, dressing so elaborately. And now you're loitering here. You must not have achieved anything yet, right? Using someone else's name to get in here. I could have you thrown out right now. Chris sighed, pointing a finger at her, his voice challenging. Who are you trying to threaten? Do you want me to spread a rumor that the Alliance is illegally trading in the Magic Empire? His words were like a sharp knife. Rubit was furious, her body trembling slightly, her lips pressed tight. She turned, her voice trembling. So what do you want from me? Reyes just smiled, not answering immediately. A moment later, he left the guild, adorned with gold and jewels, fine silks, and a bag heavy with valuable items. He walked with a smug air, filled with delight. Remembering Rubit's purple-faced rage, Chris murmured, this should be enough to borrow for now. In the room, Rubit had screamed, borrow? What borrow? This is clearly extortion. Chris had only laughed loudly in response. It's all to prevent the apocalypse. You should be grateful. Even so, he knew that this much wealth was only enough to fend off a few of the deadly blows his enemies were secretly preparing. Back at the estate, as soon as Chris arrived, he was caught by Jupiel. She turned, her voice annoyed. Hey, where have you been wandering? We're deploying in 2 days. You should come to training too. Chris, still basking in his small victory, lazily scratched his chin. Why should I train? I just got back from having fun. I'm dead tired. Like Runa, I'm useless anyway. Why waste energy training? With that, he waved his hand, turned, and left, muttering, you guys go ahead and train. Jupiel gritted her teeth in anger. This bastard. But she remained calm, sighed, and let him be. It's not worth giving him a chance. Let him fend for himself. If he can't achieve anything, it's his own loss. I don't understand why he's acting like such an idiot. The next morning, gentle sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating a small but cozy kitchen. The scent of herbs mingled with the smell of burning wood from the fireplace, creating a peaceful and mysterious atmosphere. Chris stood before an old wooden table, his deep blue eyes scanning the neatly arranged herbs. Opposite him, Rubet, or rather Ruina in disguise, stood with her arms crossed, her eyes sharp but unable to hide the anxiety creeping into her heart. Chris frowned slightly, a confident smile on his lips. He picked up a lush green leaf, examining it in the light, his fingers tracing it as if evaluating a treasure. "Well done," he said, his voice deep and authoritative, his eyes sparkling with satisfaction. Rubet frowned, curious and suspicious. She approached, her voice low but sharp. "What are you going to do with all this?" Chris didn't look up, just shrugged. "None of your business." "Anything else?" Without waiting for a reply, Rubet huffed and walked to the corner of the table. She placed an old suitcase on the wooden surface. The iron lock clicked dryly as she opened it. Inside were strange items, a golden toad sparkling with a metallic sheen, a folding umbrella with bizarre patterns, and a few other items that looked like they came from a fairy tale. Chris glanced at them, a hint of surprise mixed with sarcasm in his eyes. He murmured, his voice full of mock despair, "What a crude collection. I don't have much choice these days, do I?" Hearing this, Rubet's eyes flashed with annoyance. She turned and walked to the door, her voice cold but unable to hide her tension. "I don't know what you're planning, but this means my identity will remain a secret, right?" Chris looked up and nodded slightly, a mysterious smile still on his lips. "Of course. See you later." She stopped and turned back, her lips pressed tight, her eyes blazing with anger. "I don't want to see you again," she growled, her voice echoing in the quiet kitchen before she disappeared behind the door. Chris stood there, watching her go, and murmured, "Reina, or should I call you Rubet now? The war will break out soon." His voice dropped, carrying a gloominess like a premonition of a coming storm. Suddenly, Rubet returned, her eyes dark, her brows furrowed as if his words had touched a deep-seated fear. He continued, his voice trembling slightly, "Who traveled between the Alliance and the Dark Empire, must know how unstable the continent is right now. If war really breaks out, all trade routes will be blocked. I'll have to cut ties with either the Alliance or the Empire, and my profits will be cut in half. You understand that, right?" Chris smirked, his eyes as sharp as a knife. "You think I don't know? Considering the recent rumors from the Dominion, war isn't out of the question." Rubet pressed her lips tight, her expression serious. In her hand was a crumpled report with the latest information from the Dominion guilds. Kingdom unstable, civil war spreading. Reconnaissance units sent to probe Alliance forces. Dark Empire smuggling rights in Geopart, need countermeasures. She thought with a heavy heart, the atmosphere in the Dominion has been really tense lately. Many families are pushing for war with the Alliance. After a moment of thought, she looked up at Chris, her voice full of suspicion. "Why are you telling me this? Are you planning to ask a mere merchant like me to stop a war?" Chris burst out laughing, his smile bright but mysterious. "Of course not," he replied, his eyes sparkling as if he could see the future. "But you can become my sponsor. I will make that future without war a reality." Rubet was stunned, her eyes wide. "You can do that? How?" Chris stepped closer, his voice deep and persuasive. "Ye know, for the Dominion to wage war, they must pass through the southern region, where the Black Clan resides. If they become the heir and prepare for war, we can avoid the worst-case scenario. That is also your only chance to keep your profits from being cut in half." He stopped it, extending his hand, his gaze firm. "Are you in?" Rubet pondered, her eyes scanning Chris's face. His eyes are not those of a liar. Investing in him might be worth a try, she thought. After a moment's hesitation, she took his hand, her voice resolute. "All right, I accept. But if you betray my trust even once, it will." Chris smiled and cut her off. "Don't worry. I'm not one to go back on my word." Internally, he thought, "Besides, I have plenty of reasons to use you." He waved goodbye, his voice overly sweet. "Take care then, you greedy, dirty money lover." Rubet gritted her teeth, her eyes blazing with anger, but only snorted and turned away. That afternoon, Chris sat in a corner of the room, sweat dripping down his forehead. In front of him was a stone mortar and a rock-hard herb. He pounded it with a pestle, each strike making a dry sound. Wiping his sweat, he sighed warily. "If even a high-ranking member of the Black Clan is involved, I'd better have an antidote ready." He glanced at the pile of herbs next to him, murmuring, "It's been a while since I've made my own medicine. I hope my skills haven't gotten rusty." Memories flooded his mind. Months ago, at the hall of the famous medical family, the loud shouts of Enlai, the white-haired girl, still echoed. "Dan harder. Haven't you eaten?" Enlai, the 26th of the renowned medical family, stood behind him, her voice stern. Didn't they tell you? Some herbs only release their effects when cooked over a high flame. Chris, drenched in sweat, feigned while grumbling, "It's slow. The pot is hot enough." Lee down. He remembered first meeting Inla on the battlefield during the First Great War. Though young, she was forced to fight, carrying the pain of her entire family being massacred by the blood-sucking Demon King. The medical family, first in medicine in the Alliance, had become a thorn in the Demon King's side, and Inla was the sole survivor. Inla looked at Chris, her eyes a mix of curiosity and suspicion. "You're strange no matter how I look at it. With just a few explanations, you were able to replicate my family's elixir. Why have I never met you before?" Chris replied sarcastically. The famous medical family also calls this a genius. Even the family head is so weak and sickly. Inla coughed violently, blood spurting out. Her hands clenched. She roared, "You insolent brat. The reason I'm still alive after what the Demon King did is thanks to my medicine." Her voice dropped, filled with pain. "They can't just lie here like this. In that hellish world, those writhing in pain never cease. It's tragic that the lineage of the renowned medical family ends here." Chris looked at her, a hint of pity in his eyes. He said, "There's nothing more useless than clinging to the past. Just rest and recover." Inla glanced at the pile of ancient books beside her, her voice weak. "This book records my family's secret art. This is all that survived the war. Please, take it." She coughed violently, blood staining her sleeve. Chris quickly approached her and said softly, "Rest." Inla grabbed his hand, her gaze firm. "I have a favor to ask. Please save those who are suffering in my place. If you can do that, I will be at peace. Will you accept?" Chris was silent for a few seconds, then said gently, "From now on, can I call you master?" Inla smiled, tears welling in her eyes. "Someone like me is not even worthy of being a teacher, let alone a master. But I chose the right disciple." After a period of learning, Chris became an excellent physician, known as the saint on the battlefield. Looking at the pill in his hand, he murmured, "Master, perhaps you are living peacefully somewhere now. But in this life, I will still keep my promise." At the Kaza family estate, a carrier pigeon circled in the blue sky, carrying the letter Chris had sent. In the luxurious living room, a servant bowed and reported, "Sir, the young master has sent a letter." Count Kaza, Chris's father, his eyes shining with joy, walked over and laughed. "Oh, finally, some news." He took the letter and murmured, "According to Sister Marion, the boy has safely obtained the core. He's just like me when I was young." Looking at the messy handwriting, he frowned. "I can't read what he wrote." He turned to the servant and smiled. "It seems I have to prepare a few things for this son of mine." The scene shifted to the Biscan mountain range. The next day, a faint dawn spread over the mountains, where the border between the Black Clan and the Poison Clan blended in the cold, dangerous air. The towering rocky peaks, covered in mist, seemed to hide ancient secrets. Chupil's expedition team had gathered in a clearing, the air tense. Chupil, with a solemn expression, stood before her team, her voice sharp. "Do not act alone. You must move in groups of at least 2. "Yes, a lady." Her subordinates replied in unison. Chupil turned, her gaze stern. But before she could finish, Chris raised his hand and interrupted, his eyes sparkling with nonchalance. "I'll go alone," he said, his voice calm but arrogant. Chupil was taken aback, her brows furrowed. "What?" she growled, her eyes flashing with annoyance. Chris shrugged, a mocking smile on his lips. "It's more comfortable to go alone. At your turtle's pace, when will we ever explore this entire area? The poison has probably been dealt with, but if we hesitate, they'll get there a step ahead of us." Chupil's face darkened, her hands clenched, her voice low and warning. "This area has monsters of level 4 and above. If you get into trouble, don't expect us to save you." Chris smirked, his expression lazy and a bit bored. "Don't be a burden to me," he replied, then suddenly took a small glass vial from his pocket. Inside were a few pills shimmering with a blue light. He held up the vial, his voice calm. "This is a special antidote for the Poison Clan. Take it." Chupil pouted, her eyes full of suspicion. "I've already taken an antidote. I don't need it," she replied curtly. Chris ignored her, opened the vial, and poured 2 pills into his palm. "This is more effective than your cheap stuff. Just take it, even if you think I am bluffing." With that, he put the 2 pills in his mouth, his eyes twinkling with a teasing glint. "Well, suit yourself." Chupil gritted her teeth, anger flaring in her eyes, but before she could retort, a sharp voice called out from a distance. "Me, internal conflict so soon." Marcia, with a haughty air, approached with another person. Her hair sparkled in the sun, her mischievous eyes scanning Dupiel. You're so slow. I was on time. Marcia shrugged, a challenging half-smile on her face. You're just impatient. Should I praise you for not cheating and scouting ahead? No setting traps or ambushes during the expedition. Remember. Dupiel growled, her eyes as sharp as a knife. Marcia smirked mockingly. Your tone is so irritable. We're enemies. Do you expect me to speak politely? She took another step, leaning close to Dupiel, her voice low and provocative. There's no need for that. Dupiel turned away, her voice firm as she ordered her subordinates, all Black Clan members, move out. Marcia also turned, waving her hand. Begin the expedition. Everyone who has checked their communication devices, proceed. Yes, my lady. Her subordinates replied. Chris stood to the side, murmuring, well, I'm off then. Without waiting for a reaction, he turned and walked straight into the dense forest, leaving Dupiel standing stunned for a few seconds. She muttered to herself, her eyes blazing with anger. That guy threw away his communication device. What the hell is he thinking? In the Biskin forest, Prez moved quickly but cautiously. The ancient trees blocked the light, creating a gloomy space where the wind sounded like the whispers of death. Suddenly, a group of monster monkeys charged out from the bushes, screeching. With skilled movements, Prez easily defeated them, his blade flashing in the darkness. In my past life, I wandered the demon world so much I wore out my heels, he murmured. I can distinguish monster area just by closing my eyes. To find a level 4 beast, I have to go deeper. As he walked, he remembered Dupiel's words, don't expect rescue if you're in danger. He laughed and shook his head. Is she worried about me? No way. She looks like she wouldn't bleed even if she were stabbed. He frowned, his eyes glinting with vigilance. Anyway, Viscount Lenham's plot must have already begun. I don't see any assassins around. First, I need to find the relic. Suddenly, a familiar figure appeared from a distance. Marcia, with her sparkling hair and sharp eyes, stepped out from the bushes. Their eyes met, and the space seemed to freeze. Both were silent, a strange awkwardness filling the air. I can't believe I strayed into the Poison Clan's territory, Chris thought. He waved his hand, his voice gentle. I must have taken a wrong turn. I'll go another way. Marcia nodded slightly, her eyes showing a hint of shyness. Be careful, she said, her voice soft, but meaningful. Chris continued deeper into the forest, his heart on high alert. Suddenly, he stopped it, his eyes flashing as if he had discovered something. Their target is to harm Marcia, who in the Poison Clan is important enough to sacrifice a princess. He turned and called out loudly, Hey, Marcia. I want to ask you something. She was startled and turned back, her eyes curious. What is it? Without thinking, Chris blurted out, Are you an illegitimate child? Are you disliked in your clan? As soon as the words left his mouth, the air froze. Marcia was stunned, her eyes wide, her face flushing with anger. You bastard. She screamed, her lips pressed tight, her eyes blazing. Chris quickly raised his hands, his voice apologetic. That's not what I meant. It was a slip of the tongue. Back then, I wasn't even considered human in their eyes. I'm sorry if I was rude. But before he could finish, a stream of green energy shot past his head and embedded itself in the tree behind him, creating a deep hole. Chris paled, sweat beading on his forehead. Marcia approached, her eyes fiery, her voice as cold as ice. Apologize properly. Right now. Chris stood frozen, thinking, she's this angry. It's not just a simple family conflict. To know the real motive, I have to find the mastermind. But first, she's in danger. He took a deep breath, breaking the tense atmosphere. Hey, you're breaking the rules, you know. Marcia was taken aback, her voice trembling. What did you just say? Chris pointed at the damaged tree, his voice calm. Look at this tree. You attacked first, which means the Poison Clan has violated the rules. The Black Clan gets the relic. Am I wrong? Marcia snorted, pulling out 3 colorful vials from her pocket, her eyes sharp. For insulting my family, for the humiliation after the broken engagement. This is self-defense. With that, she threw the 3 vials at him. Boom. The 3 vials exploded, creating a cloud of colorful poison smoke. Chris coughed violently, his face pale. Strange runes began to appear on his body. He clutched his chest and fell to his knees in pain. Marcia approached, her voice cold. This is the blue Simo flower. With just a snap of my fingers, the poison will explode throughout your body. Apologize. She held up 3 more vials, her eyes showing no mercy. Kneel and beg for your life. In the poison cloud, Chris stammered, come on. But she didn't let him finish. throwing 3 more vials, making the cloud even thicker. Chris was almost motionless, his body trembling. But suddenly, from within the smoke, his hand shot out and gripped Marcia's wrists. He stood up and faced her, his eyes sparkling with a strange determination. The space seemed to stop, carrying a strange romantic feeling amidst the life and death situation. His voice was deep, with a hint of nonchalance. "I'm afraid I can't do that." At that moment, Chris's entire body was adorned with flowers emitting a sparkling light, breathtakingly beautiful but hiding a deadly danger. The light was like a warning, both alluring and terrifying, making anyone who looked at it shudder. He slowly stepped closer to the girl, his voice low and full of meaning. "They don't call you the little poison for nothing." His eyes twinkled mischievously. "I heard this poison is so painful it can kill a person if not cured. Is that true?" The girl blushed slightly, a hint of shyness in her clear eyes, but she immediately pushed Chris's hand away, her voice firm. "Impossible. I am the only one who possesses the antidote for this poison." Her lips were pressed tight, her eyes sharp and challenging. Chris smirked, a confident smile on his face. He tilted his head, his voice arrogant. "Have you ever heard of the Divine Healer clan? I took inspiration from them and made this myself." He held up a small vial, the light from it reflecting on his face. "This should be called a multi-antidote. What do you think?" Hearing these strange words, the girl frowned, her delicate brows furrowed, her eyes full of suspicion. "What the hell are you talking about?" But before she could react further, Chris suddenly swung his hand and struck her neck. The blow was as fast as lightning, stunning her. Her eyes widened for a moment before she collapsed unconscious in his arms. Looking at the beautiful girl lying peacefully in his arms, Chris whispered, his voice deep but determined, "Rest for a while. I will definitely save you." He gently placed her against an ancient tree, skillfully tying her up with a rope, his eyes never leaving her delicate face as she slept. She looked like a fairy in a dream, breathtakingly beautiful, but Chris didn't let his emotions sway his will. He took a small orb from his pocket and murmured, "It's time." His fingers glided over the orb's surface, and instantly, a topographical map appeared, its faint light illuminating the dark forest. He pinpointed his location, his sharp eyes scanning every detail on the map. Suddenly, from one side, the girl's guards received a signal. A green-haired man frowned, muttering, "A message from Lady Marcia. Scout the cliff." "Why the sudden change of plans?" The other man replied doubtfully. But then, a triumphant smile appeared on the green-haired man's face. He clenched his fist, his voice excited. Now we don't have to run from those damn Poison Clan bastards anymore." Prez, hidden in the darkness, heard everything. He smirked, his eyes flashing with confidence. "Now I can focus on finding the artifact." The scene shifted deep into the forest. Prez moved swiftly through the trees, his body as light as a ghost, so fast that he only left a whisper of wind behind. As he moved, he murmured, his voice low and haunting. "Relics are empowered by demons or constellations. They have been hidden for centuries or have fallen from the sky as a challenge to the lowly creatures of the earth. Just try to use them." He recalled the words of Rena, the chatterbox of the shadows. The relic was once discarded because of its unstable power, until Viscount Lenham studied it for 2 years to find a way to use it. And that was also the reason Lord Nozu lost his life. He mumbled, "Nodin is not allowed to die, at least not to delay the destruction of this world." Suddenly, he stopped. His sharp eyes noticed a leaf with a corner missing, as if bitten by something. He bent down to examine strange footprints on the ground, his heart sinking, his voice a cautious whisper. "Footprints in this demonic land, where no one is allowed to live. A relic can't just grow legs and walk away. Someone was here before me." Chris immediately activated his invisibility skill, his body blending into the space, becoming as unseen as a ghost. He moved deeper into the forest where a group of people were talking excitedly. "Haven't the Black Clan arrived yet?" one man asked impatiently. "Not yet, sir," another replied. A young man in the center said coldly, "How long do we have to wait?" These slowpokes. Chris, hidden in the darkness, observed each person. His eyes flashed as he sensed their energy. Poison Clan. 1 4-star. That woman is about 5-star, but the other guy. His aura is dark, his energy core is unclear. Who is he? Suddenly, a masked man spoke contemptuously. "Marcia, that girl is the source of all our problems. I wouldn't mind if she just died." Chris narrowed his eyes. The way he talks. He's probably a direct heir of the Poison Clan. So this is all just a succession war. A man in white nodded, his voice deep. "Anyway, this incident will wipe out the rest of them." Chris pondered, his eyes sharp. So they're after the relic. But what kind of relic is it? It doesn't matter, that's Linam's problem. After dealing with Marcia, the masked man ordered, find out where those bastards are. 2 guards nodded and left, leaving only a purple-haired man. Pres murmured, only the dumb best one is left. He's about 4-star. I could face him directly, but that would be too noisy. I need a way to steal the relic without drawing attention. Just then, from above, a troop of monkeys screeched, catching Chris's attention. He looked up, a confident smile on his lips. I have an idea this time. While the purple-haired man yawned in boredom, something fell from a tree and hit his head. He was startled and looked up, shouting angrily, what the hell was that? You damn pests, throwing trash. The monkeys didn't understand, just hooted with joy at his anger. The purple-haired man roared, you bastards. Daring to mess with me. I won't let you go. Pres, hiding behind a tree, chuckled and signaled the monkeys to leave. The purple-haired man furiously chased after them, shouting, get down here. When he was out of sight, Pres deactivated his invisibility and approached a box on the ground. He murmured, now for a little fun. He took out a summoning stone and wore it around his neck. The stone emitted a mystical purple light, opening a subspace. Pres rummaged inside and took out a box identical to the one containing the relic. I refurbished Runa's old box to look new, he thought, his eyes twinkling with mischief. He performed a switch, placing the fake box in the original spot, laughing smugly as he did. What you're about to chase is just a fake. After finishing, he opened the real box, his eyes focused. When he saw the item inside, his face froze in astonishment. This isn't the Twilight necklace, is it? He exclaimed. The scene shifted back to Marcia's location. Marcia slowly regained consciousness, her eyes fluttering open. Faint light filtered through the canopy, illuminating her face. She suddenly jolted, realizing she was tied tightly to an ancient tree, a rope binding her wrists. Anger surged through her, and she screamed, what the hell is this? Memories flooded back, Krez leaning in close, his low voice whispering in her ear, they don't call you the little poison for nothing. Thinking back on that moment, Marcia's eyes welled with tears of both shame and anger. She gritted her teeth and shouted, coward. She struggled violently, the rope chafing her wrists, and muttered contemptuously, not even an apology, and now this dirty trick. You think I'm a Joe, Krez? Suddenly, a sound from deep in the forest made her stop, her sharp eyes scanning the darkness. A voice called out, found you. From the bushes, a brown-haired girl emerged, a mocking smirk on her face. You're the princess of the Poison Clan, aren't you? Marcia narrowed her eyes, her gaze wary. Who are you? Her voice was cold, but a flicker of unease entered her heart. The scene shifted to Japiel's group. Meanwhile, Japiel's team was still searching the forest. Japiel held the antidote Chris had given her, her expression thoughtful, her fingers tightening around the vial as if to crush it. A red-haired young man turned to her, his voice suspicious. Thinking back, Princess, why did you give him an extra dose of antidote? Japiel paused, her heart in turmoil. Why did I think I could trust that bastard? She thought. From a distance, a guard ran up, panting. Nothing found in this area, Princess. Japiel nodded, her voice calm but sharp. Understood. The other side is still searching, right? A short-haired guard nodded. Yes, they're still combing the area. He hesitated, then asked, but will Lord Chris be alright? Japiel frowned slightly, not answering immediately. Terrible scenarios flashed through her mind, Chris falling off a cliff, or worse, being carried away by a giant bird for acting on his own. She shook her head, dismissing the thoughts, and murmured, he left on his own. What do you want me to do? Life or death, he brought it upon himself. Suddenly, a shout from afar echoed, Princess, we found the treasure. Japiel was startled, and turned, her eyes shining. She immediately followed the guards to the treasure's location. In front of them was an ancient box, a faint light emanating from its carved patterns. Japiel smirked, her voice confident. It took more effort than I thought, but at least we got it before the Poison Clan. She turned to the person beside her and ordered, send the message. Everyone, assemble at Land's Canyon. Yes, Princess. The guard replied immediately. A red-haired man shouted, did everyone hear that? The princess said to prepare to return. Yes, my lady. The group replied in unison. They immediately headed towards Land Canyon. A short-haired guard said excitedly, well done, Princess. We got the treasure first. That means we beat those shadow dwellers, right? But suddenly, a voice from behind called out, Princess. Japiel turned, her eyes cold. The person continued, that guy. He might be dead, right? I mean Krez. Japil paused, her resolve wavering. She said in a low voice, Team 1 and Team 2, stay behind and find Krez. Even if it's just a corpse, you must bring it back. A guard questioned, his voice annoyed. What? Why waste time on that fool? He's a nuisance, but he's still a direct blood relative. We have to bring something back, Japil replied sharply. Reluctantly, I understand, the guard nodded. The rest of you, follow me, Japil ordered. But before she could take another step, a massive explosion erupted from the cliff beside them. Rocks and earth collapsed, a thick cloud of dust blocking the path. The group panicked. What's happening? One shouted. Another looked at the exit, horrified. The exit is sealed. Suddenly, from the mountain top, a surge of green energy spread violently, carrying the breath of death. Japil immediately shouted, everyone, on high alert. We're under attack. From the sky, a demonic green flower descended, releasing a terrifying cloud of poison gas. In an instant, the group was poisoned, their faces turning pale, as they collapsed, only managing to gasp, poison. On the mountaintop, a figure from the poison clan looked down, their eyes cold, and sneered, it's done. Marsha's ultimate green flower. I stole it from her lab. No one will suspect. All the blame will fall on Marsha. The figure descended to Japil's group, thinking, risky, but to eliminate them all at once. This is the only way. She glanced around, her eyes flashing with cruelty. Bow, to bring the treasure to Marsha's lab. But suddenly, a trident flew from nowhere, aimed straight at her. The masked girl was startled and quickly summoned Red Claws, shouting, no choice. I'll finish you myself. You're no match for me anyway. Japil trembled with anger, gripping her sword. Shut up, you coward. She shouted. Looking at her opponent, she frowned, thinking, he's at least a 5-star demon. Marsha, I can't believe you'd stab me in the back. The masked girl laughed coldly. I'll end you quickly, so you won't suffer. She charged, her red claws aimed at Japil. But suddenly, a figure shot down from above, crashing into the ground and forcing the masked girl to retreat. Both looked up, and the figure was none other than Marsha. Marsha! Japil shouted. Immediately after, another person appeared. Merlin, deputy commander of the Black Marsh Knights. Merlin looked at Marsha and smiled. The princess is as agile as ever. Marsha blushed, her voice shy but sharp. Don't pretend to be innocent. She turned to the masked person, her eyes blazing. You dare use my green flower to frame me? State your name and identity. The masked person smirked mockingly. You still don't know your place, do you? She whistled, and instantly, countless dark figures appeared behind her. Marsha immediately drew 3 vials of poison, ready to fight, and said coldly, you have reinforcements. Merlin gripped the large blade on her shoulder, and smiled confidently. 2 3-star and 1 5-star demon. They really outnumber us. Japil frowned, her voice grave. The person behind this knows the expedition team lacks high-level experts. In this situation, we'll die like dogs. Suddenly, from the mountaintop, a loud laugh echoed, drawing everyone's attention. A figure appeared, a mischievous smile on his face as if he knew everything. It was Krez. He stood there, his eyes sparkling with confidence, as if the whole world was in his hands. Chris looked down at the group below, and sighed softly. He stroked his chin, his voice echoing, given the situation, you must be missing me like crazy right now, aren't you? Hearing this, both girls below grew furious. Japil immediately dodged, and replied, no way. That's not happening. Marsha added sharply, Krez, we need to talk later. Seeing them start to banter, the masked figure laughed loudly. How touching. Getting emotional before you die. Do you really think adding one more weakling gives you a chance of winning? Faced with her words, Marsha thought to herself, although I don't want to admit it, in this situation, she's right. Once you reach the 5-star level, your entire being changes, as if shedding your skin. Even the 4 of us combined would have a hard time taking her down. Seeing this self-absorbed person, Krez, from above, smiled. So arrogant just for reaching 5 stars. I thought you were an 8-star or something. At this taunt, the masked figure looked up angrily. What did you say? Krez continued, well, only a fool would come up with such a cheap plan. He then took a few items from a spatial gate. Hey, catch these for everyone. The 3 of them received the items he had asked Rubit to prepare earlier, a necklace, something like an umbrella, and a golden toad. Looking at the items, all 3 wondered aloud, what are these? Chris explained, these are artifacts that will raise each person's power by 1 level. Seeing Marsha's displeased expression, Chris called Dan, What? You don't want it. Hearing this, Marcia's face darkened. She gritted her teeth and stammered, "Of course that's not it." After putting on her artifact, Jabil immediately felt magic surging through her body. She exclaimed, "Wait a minute. This thing is overflowing with magic." Looking at her now, Marcia was startled with fear. Jabil continued, "Whoa, is this the true power of an artifact? I feel like I just jumped to the 6-star level." At her feedback, Chris frowned slightly, thinking, "I didn't hand out something that powerful. I didn't know this thing was so terrifying." After putting on the necklace, Merlin sighed and recalled what Count Kaza had told her. "This is a message from. So that's what it means." But she still asked aloud, "Young master, but my activation is a bit strange." The letter had said, "Merlin, someone is targeting the expedition team. I have prepared an artifact for you. Please support the Poison Clan's princess and her team. The activation method is." Returning to the present, she looked up and asked, "Where did you find things like this?" He propped his hands on his knees, stood up, and replied gently, "Let's just say I'd have a fool wrapped around my finger. Anyway, I have work to do. I have to go." She continued, "Young master, you promised to match after all this was over." He just waved it off. I know. Just try to stay alive until then." Seeing him leave so abruptly, Marcia was startled and shouted, "Wait, what? You're not joining the fight?" By the time she finished, he had disappeared from the mountain top. She cursed loudly in anger. "That bastard. If you're going to talk to someone, at least answer." Jabil, remembering the vial Chris had given her, smiled and said, "He must have a plan." "I feel it too." Seeing everyone defending him, Marcia's face darkened. She wondered, why is she suddenly defending him? What was with that dreamy look in her eyes just now? The masked person, seeing them waste so much time, snorted. "You think a few toys like that can save you?" With that, she erupted with a green mana aura that covered her entire body. Looking at us, the group's expressions became tense. Is that the dark steel Neil Pi? A destructive force that can only be controlled at the 5-star level. But facing this pressure, Merlin stepped forward confidently, pointing her blade forward and smiling. "Didn't the young master say it before? Your star level doesn't decide the outcome of the battle. The arrogant will be crushed by their own arrogance." Jerkeel added, "That's right. People who rely on strength and look down on others. I've always wanted to crush them with pure power." Merlin stepped forward confidently. "All right, princesses, shall we?" Jubil walked over, putting an arm around Marcia's shoulder. "Let's go." As for Marcia, her face darkened as she looked at the golden toad in her hand. Her hand trembled as she murmured, "Let's go." She then placed the golden toad on her head, looking quite cute. Her face became extremely shy as she stammered, "Let's go." With that, she took out 3 vials of poison, preparing to attack. Jabil also drew her sword and took a stance. "Hey, let's bet on who takes that one down first." Hearing this, Merlin smiled and agreed. "All right. I'll take the one with the black spear." Faced with their confident words, the masked person gritted her teeth and shouted, "What an arrogant bunch." Tied. With that, she swung her arm, firing countless poison darts straight at the group. But against these attacks, Merlin just casually swung her blade, easily blocking the attack. Immediately after, the masked person vanished from her position, startling Merlin. She turned her head to look behind her, but the masked person was already there with claws raised, ready to attack. Reacting instinctively, she raised her large blade to block. Faced with the swift and powerful attack, Merlin gritted her teeth and cursed, "Damn it." Seeing she could block the blow, the masked person praised her. Not bad. But with that, he stomped the ground, jumped high, and threw a series of poison shurikens at Merlin. The shurikens cut across her body, making her cry out in pain. He then stepped back, marveling, "You're just an insect. A black marsh knight. Just trash." Merlin looked straight at him and mocked, "Are you sure you're 5-star? That last hit. It felt like a mosquito bite." At the provocation, the masked person shouted angrily, "Insect," and charged at Merlin. Just as his claws were about to touch her, Merlin thought, "Now's the time." With that thought, she swung her arm and grabbed the masked person's head, startling him and making him cry out in pain. His entire body radiated a thick cloud of poison gas, shaking the space. He trembled and stammered, "Why am I being affected by a 4-star curse?" Merlin smiled. "This artifact doesn't enhance strength. It amplifies the power of the curse through my blood." "How does it feel?" The masked person's whole body trembled. She intentionally took the hit just to do that, he thought. While he was still dazed, Merlin casually swung her blade, slashing him hard. She continued, Stupid, isn't it? The slash made him spit a mouthful of blood and fly backward. Seeing this, a member of his team called out, "Captain." But at that moment, a dark blade was already at his neck, without him even realizing. Chupil reminded him, "Look over here. Our battle isn't over yet." Press was still wandering in the forest, calling out loudly as he walked, "Hey, are you done with hide and seek? You didn't show up at the cliff. Are you planning an ambush or something? Or are you scared of losing?" As soon as he finished, a figure in a white cloak approached from behind. He wore a mask, his eyes radiating a thick killing intent. Looking at him, he laughed. "What's this?" "Found you." Chris looked at the white-cloaked person and said, "I've been wondering for a while. Why is your core so murky? You don't seem like someone from the Poison Clan, so why are you with them?" At these words, the white-cloaked man was silent for a moment. Chris bent down, casually picked up a stone, and continued, "If you don't want to answer, then fine." He placed the stone on his fingertip, and then shot it forward with great force, aiming straight at the white-cloaked man. But he luckily tilted his head to the side, easily dodging the blow. Then followed a series of stones thrown by Chris, but he still gracefully dodged each attack. Suddenly, a stone flew straight at his face. Before he could react, the stone hit him hard, making him cry out in pain. Chris remarked, "When you're tense, your right shoulder lifts slightly. When you're distracted, your vision narrows. That's a bad habit. Maybe you should fix it." Best. At these words, Esther remained silent. He then reached up and removed his mask, revealing a handsome face. He remembered his father's words, "The poison will take care of Chupil and Marcia, but if Chris escapes alone, you'll have to chase the boy. No one is allowed to survive this." Returning to the present, Est's expression became tense. He cursed silently. "Damn it, things have gotten complicated. Chupil's team hasn't been wiped out, and Merlin is in the fight too. If so, the plan to eliminate the expedition team is getting harder and harder. If I kill him in this situation, someone will start digging into things. And since I wasn't at the academy, I can't avoid being suspected, which means father will be dragged into this." Chris smiled, crossing his arms and looking forward. He asked, "Brother, why are you suddenly so quiet? Are you scared?" After a moment of thought, Es made a decision. "That's right. It's best to deal with him first and figure things out later." Instantly, from his hand, a sword made of dark energy gradually appeared. When it was complete, he gripped it tightly and looked straight ahead. Seeing this, Chris smiled and replied, "That's more like it." With that, Es charged straight at Chris, unleashing a slash that seemed to tear through space. Chris immediately summoned his own dark sword and unleashed a slash that tore through Est's attack. But immediately after, he stepped back, startled as he detected something. From a distance, two blurry figures gripped their swords and charged at him. Seeing this, Chris wondered, creating clones with magic energy. "It seems you're not a young lord just by luck, are you?" With that, he unleashed a series of slashes to block the clones' attacks. His expression gradually became tense, trembling before the powerful attacks. From a distance, Est gripped his sword and charged, startling him. Chris smiled to himself, using illusions for an ambush. "I knew you'd pull a trick like that." Ignoring the illusions behind him, Chris gripped his sword hilt and charged straight at Est, ready to block. As he charged, he swung his sword powerfully, delivering a horizontal slash, but immediately after, Chris's eyes widened in surprise. What he had slashed was just an illusion. From above, another figure of Est appeared, bringing his sword down on Chris's head. He gritted his teeth and shouted, "Back!" A heaven-sent slash from above shattered the ground, sending dust flying everywhere. After the attack, Est landed gracefully, looking at the space in front of him where a giant gash tore through the ground. He marveled, "You're just a useless insect." At the taunt, Chris's voice suddenly rang out. "Who did you just call an insect?" Seeing Chris was still alive, Est stammered in shock, "Impossible. This is..." Immediately after, the illusions he had created were absorbed by something, and gradually vanished into thin air. These things gathered on Chris's blade. Seeing this, Est's eyes widened in wonder. Chris gripped his sword and smiled confidently. "The true black sword." "Surprised, old man." With that, he unleashed a powerful slash that created a long gash on the ground, rushing straight at Est. Before his astonished eyes, Est quickly raised his hands to create a magic shield to block, but the shield began to crack and, after just a few seconds, shattered into nothingness. Est was hit by the attack and cried out in pain, unable to react. The blow created a massive explosion that burned the surrounding trees to a crisp. Est fell to his knees, his whole body trembling with fear. He gritted his teeth and said, Why am I being humiliated by this Branch family kid? Chris smiled and approached him. Just obediently admit defeat. I'll keep this a secret. Lenham would be in trouble anyway, and fighting within the same family is nothing to be proud of. These words startled Est. He looked at Chris, thinking, he knows the whole plan. But how? Then I have to kill him to avoid future trouble. But killing him is impossible. There's no other way. I'll have to wait for another chance. With that thought, he said, thank you for preserving this brother's honor. Chris approached and extended his hand. It's nothing. This is the pride of a true demon. Est took Chris's hand and nodded. That's right. But Chris gripped his hand tightly, his voice as cold as ice. Did you think I was going to say that? The handshake startled Est with its terrifying pressure. He thought, a clash of magic energy. You bastard. He stammered. Immediately after, a large amount of magic energy from Chris' hand shot through his body, causing blood to spray everywhere. His eyes were still wide with disbelief as he spat out a mouthful of blood and collapsed. Looking at his brother before him, Chris said, You're nothing but a foolish puppet. After finishing his work, Chris rushed back to Marcia's group. As he ran, he cursed to himself, Damn it, I took longer than I expected. I hope the others are fighting well. But then, a voice called his name. Chris. At that moment, the three girls' faces turned towards him, looking anything but happy. Seeing this, Chris froze at the sight of the group approaching him. He stepped back and explained, Could you not stand so close, Marcia? I'm feeling a lot of pressure. Hearing this, Marcia angrily clenched her fists and shouted, Is this the artifact you gave me? Merlin said, The mission is complete, as you ordered, young master. Hearing this, Chris nodded in satisfaction. Good. What about the demons of that extreme poison mage? They died and turned to dust shortly after, Marcia replying. He probably had it prepared to erase all traces. We see it. Good job. Chris nodded. Jopil looked at him and asked, But where did you just come from? At the unexpected question, Chris shyly scratched his ear and replied, Well, just scouting the area. He sighed and confidently puffed out his chest. A noble person like me shouldn't be involved in combat. His words completely contradicted his body, which was covered in wounds. Marcia looked at him and said, Then why did someone like you return with so many wounds? Are there still traitors among the extreme poison mages? Hearing this, Chris's eyes widened, and he immediately waved his hand to change the subject. I said no. Let's just retreat. He thought to himself, I intentionally handled everything from a distance. By now, they've either come to their senses and fled or been recovered by their subordinates. I'm telling the truth. Making a big deal out of this will only make Marquis Lenham angrier. The constellation's emblem was stolen, and there are 3 survivors. That's enough. The scene shifted. A week later, the incident had shaken both families. Chris sat dejectedly at a table laden with countless lavish dishes. On the surface, the blame falls on the extreme poison mages, and they're in a difficult position. But in the end, everything was resolved with a compensation agreed upon by both sides. Of course, the main reason it ended this way is because they know I discovered the involvement of Est and Marquis Lenham. Anyway, it's still better than in my past life when everyone was assassinated. Duke Vanham also doesn't have to hand over the demon god's charm to Lenham anymore. Merlin returned to the black magic mages after leaving the canyon. Marcia also promised to keep quiet about Merlin's participation, and has left. Mary approached and poured him wine, saying cheerfully, Oh, young master, even if you have no appetite, you must eat to recover quickly. With a miserable expression, Chris replied, My whole body hurts like it's being torn apart. Why should I eat? Hearing you say that breaks my heart into 1,000 pieces, Mary replied. Chris frowned, wondering, You even have a heart to it. The girl made a heart shape with her hands, and marveled, Oh man, your words are so harsh. My heart is beating wildly. Even if you're a bit ruder, a big urger, I still love you, young master. At these affectionate words, Chris shouted angrily, Stop saying such weird things. And I told you, your heart stopped beating a long time ago. Mary approached, gripping his hands tightly, her expression cold. Impossible. Every time I look at you, my heart beats so fast it hurts. Faced with her serious expression, Chris stammered, Don't try to move people like that. Mary's voice immediately softened. Come on, open your mouth. Chris dodged the spoon of food Mary offered, frowning slightly. My hands are broken. I can feed myself. At this attitude, Mary moved even closer, whispering, Oh, you look so embarrassed. Of course, this side of you is also very cute. With that, she shoved the spoon into Chris's mouth, startling him but giving him no chance to dodge. Mary laughed loudly. Oh, you have to eat a full meal to have energy at night. What do you think of this special soup? Chris's eyes went blank at this sudden action. He stammered, you didn't even cook it. But it's full of my love, Mary replied. Faced with their affection, Jobiel, sitting opposite them, crossed her arms and watched, pondering for a moment, as if she had become invisible during the meal. Chris turned to her and said, "Me lady, how much longer are you going to visit? Even you haven't fully recovered yet." "I'll leave after observing a bit more," Jobiel replied coldly. She then looked away, and added, "I'm the one who has the right to be here." Chris smiled, thinking to himself, "I'll give her a stomachache, in more ways than one." Mary looked at Jobiel with angry eyes and said, "How dare you flirt with my young master?" She then approached Jobiel and laughed loudly. "Oh, would you like something to drink, lady? Shall I get you some blood juice?" Jobiel refused coldly. "Oh, I don't like blood juice. I prefer onion juice." The words made Mary's face freeze. She stood still for 5 seconds, then her whole body slumped in disappointment. "Onion juice is not my specialty." Seeing her intimidation tactic fail, Chris sighed, thinking, "This girl is a tougher opponent than I expected." He looked at Jobiel and said, "Hey, do you have something to say?" She immediately got angry. "I hate you. One day, I will crush you." Chris pouted and sighed. "Of course. If you want to, then go ahead and try." But Jobiel's attitude suddenly became shy. She said, "Anyway, thank you for this time." The words of thanks made Chris freeze for a few seconds. He put on a dramatic tone. "I didn't hear that clearly. Can you say it louder?" Jobiel looked at him angrily. "If you didn't hear it, then whatever. Don't misunderstand. I'm just acknowledging what you did." Faced with the backhanded compliment, Chris stuck his nose in the air. "If you understand that, then you should consider me your benefactor from now on." Jobiel continued, "That smile of yours today will be the last I see. The Marquis has made a promise, so you'll probably be officially named a direct heir soon. Once you become a direct heir, everything will be different. I mean, you should mentally prepare yourself for that." Chris silently agreed. "It definitely won't be the same as before. Until now, I was someone they wouldn't even bother to step on. But after becoming an equal direct heir, they will all rush to crush me. Once his core recovers, Est will also raise his head. And the first Princess Eon, who hides secrets, and the young lord of the third Marquis. The war with Messiah, and the first Prince Sirah will also be the same. Not to mention, should I include Lady Jobiel in that?" Seeing Chris staring at her, Jobiel asked, "What are you looking at? Am I that pretty?" At the sudden question, Chris thought, why is she suddenly asking that? I feel like there's an insurmountable wall. Before he could answer, she stood up and continued, "Or not. But why are you staring at me like that? I'm leaving." With that, she turned and left. After Jobiel left, Chris breathed a sigh of relief and joy. Phew. Finally gone. I'm completely drained of energy. Now I have to recharge. But then his whole body trembled with anger. He turned towards the main door and shouted, "Hey, didn't you say you were leaving?" Suddenly, he paused, looking at the person approaching. It was Lady Marcia.